Rod Smith. At left tackle, number 60, Blake Nill. At right tackle, number 67, Trevor Bull. At tight end, number 79, Nick Araki. At wide receiver, number 80, Jeff Patterson. At wide receiver, number 1, Dwight Edwards. Inside receiver, number 14, Mike McTagg. Fullback, number 21, Tony John. The halfback, number 34, Alan Reed. And the quarterback, number 7, Joe Barnes. The head coach of the Montreal Concordes, Gary Dershit. Introducing the starting defensive lineup for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. At left end, wearing number 59, Rod Gilman. At left tackle, wearing number 65, Mitchell Price. At right tackle, wearing number 64, Leon Leskovic. At right end, wearing number 77, Grover Covington. Linebacker, wearing number 41, Greg Gary. At linebacker, wearing number 31, Ben Zambiazzi. At linebacker, wearing number 72, Leo Ezrin. At cornerback, wearing number 26, Donovan Rose. At cornerback, wearing number 15, Les Brown. At defensive half, wearing number 16, Howard Field. At defensive half, wearing number 20, Mark Streeter. And the safety, wearing number 27, Paul Bennett. Ladies and gentlemen, the officials for this afternoon's game. The referee is number 50, Bud Ulrich. The umpire, number 64, Dave Buell. The head linesman, number 53, Ken Lazarick. The line judge, number 76, Ron Artell. The back judge, number 47, Bob Bryan.
Well, we've got a situation here where the crowd continues to pour in, and you see the referee is Bud Ulrich and the rest of the crew who will be taking care of this very important Eastern final, deciding who goes to the Grey Cup. This, Pat and Leith, is a bigger crowd than many had anticipated. It looks to me like they have got in the stands right now upwards of 30,000, and they're still coming in. Football excitement returning to Hamilton in a big way. And so there isn't any question that this football game is going to bring back a lot of interest and excitement that was absent for part of the year as far as the Steel City is concerned. One of the reasons, as you heard undoubtedly in the introduction of the defense, is that it's been a return to the old-style Hamilton squad. That means very, very tough defensive football. That's what the Hamilton fans, Steel Town it's called, of course, love. They love the real hard, tough ball, and they think it goes back to the days back in the 60s when that's the kind of ball they played. We'll see this afternoon, of course, and see what kind of football we have to prepare for, but I think it's going to be a very, very big one. All right. Let's have a look. What do you think upstairs, Pat? Do you think it's going to be a rough, tough game?
I certainly do. For this reason, Bill, that the Hamilton Ticats don't have a rookie starting in their defensive alignment. They are a veteran squad. They've been here before. Of course, they were in the Grey Cup game a year ago. They're pumped up, but Leaf, I suspect that the Montreal Concordes quietly feel much better coming into Hamilton with Joe Barnes at quarterback than they would have with Turner Gill.
Well, he's played better in each game that he started at quarterback for the Concordes, and I think a perfect example of that was his performance last week against the Ottawa Rough Riders. He was just perfect in his execution.
You know, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have defeated Montreal twice so far this season, but they haven't defeated Joe Barnes because Joe was with Calgary, of course, prior to the Concordes, didn't play Hamilton while with Calgary, and has not played with Montreal when they played against Hamilton. Well, Leif, we were talking about the success that Hamilton had against Montreal, but they had it before Joe Barnes arrived. You were talking about the keys to this football game. Maybe special teams are going to play an important factor as well.
Well, I think there's no doubt that probably could happen because both defenses are excellent defenses, and if the game progresses in that manner, the kicking game plays an important part, and I think Bernie Ruoff could definitely become the key, as I mentioned in our opening. Consistently can outkick Mike McTagg, so we'll have to see how that develops.
Vince Faison is joined by Dwight Edwards deep to return the kickoff for the Concordes. Bernie Ruoff is all set, and we are underway from Ivor Wynne Stadium in Steeltown. This is Dwight Edwards. And Edwards with a good return is up over the 25 to about the 29-yard line. And that is where the Montreal Concordes are going to put it into play. They will start with Joe Barnes at quarterback, with Alan Reed and Tony Johns behind him. Both are rookies. Both have played well in recent weeks.
Well, the one change that Al McCann told you about, Dwight Edwards at that wide receiver spot. Chris Haynes could just not go with that knee injury he suffered last week.
Now, do the Concordes come out throwing, or do they come out running? We're going to see right now. It is first down, Montreal. The ball at their own 29-yard line. And this is Alan Reed. Reed is out very close to the 34-yard line for a pickup of 5. He's dropped there by Howard Fields, number 16, and the middle linebacker, Ben Zambiazzi.
Well, you know, Pat, I think number 60, Blake Nill, the left offensive tackle, really is going to have his hands full against number 77, Grover Covington, this afternoon. We're going to watch how that develops.
It's second down, 5 yards to go. Montreal, the ball at their 34. Barnes gets it away for the first down to Iraqi. Iraqi fumbles the ball, but it is out of bounds at about the 45-yard line. It'll be a first down. Montreal at that point. Pickup of 13 yards. The scramble by Barnes is what made this play effective.
Wow, he just did a great job getting away from the rush, and Nick Iraqi comes all the way across the field. You see who's trying to cover him, number 72, Leo Ezra. I suspect they're going to double cover him all afternoon with the linebacker and the defensive back.
Ball is actually spotted at the Montreal 47. First down, Concordes. Barnes with a little shovel pass to Reed, and Reed was able to duck underneath both Keith Gary and Ben Zambiazzi to get outside the 50 to about the 51-yard line. He didn't pick up a lot, but he could have lost yardage.
Little shovel pass to Alan Reed, and Greg Gary, number 41, reads it perfectly along with the 8-year veteran. In the middle, number 31, Ben Zambiazzi.
The winner of this afternoon's ball game will go to Montreal for the Grey Cup game next Sunday, and you'll see it here on CTV. Second down, 7 yards to go. Montreal at their 51. Flag is down. We may have a holding penalty. The pass was picked off by number 16, Howard Field, but was he out of bounds? They rule he was out of bounds, but we'll have a holding penalty assessed against Montreal. Trevor Bowles was called for holding number 67. And it, of course, will be declined by the Ticats.
Now, Pat, in this first quarter, Montreal will be going against what is a pretty good wind that's developed here this afternoon. And Mike McTagg was having great difficulty in the warm-up punting into that wind. We'll see the Hamilton returners are not back too far.
And those returners include Rufus Crawford, 21, Howard Field, 16. And this will be Crawford at his 28-yard line. Flag is down, so is Rufus as he gets to the 34-yard line.
Well, and it's going to go back. Lance Thompson, number 50, a reserve defensive lineman, clipped someone right in the back. Really a stupid penalty to take at this point because they were going to have pretty good field position. They're going to be backed up even farther now. It was a 31-yard punt by Mike McTagg, a 6-yard return by Rufus Crawford, but now they'll be pushed back close to their 22.
Illegal block. Hamilton, number 50 on the run back. First down.
Well, as Lee pointed out, number 50 is Lance Thompson. And because of his illegal block, the Ticats begin at their 21 with Ken Hobart, who really was the surprise of all of football in Canada in 1985 at quarterback. He swings it out to Johnny Shepard. And Shepard only gets to the line of scrimmage and then is hit pretty hard. He did a good job to get to that point, however, before Lamont Jeffers, number 72, was there to make the tackle.
Well, that's a group that's taken a lot of heat over the last few years, but, you know, they've done a pretty darn good job protecting Ken Hobart this year. And that's a good front four. Doug Scott had a great game last week against the Ottawa Rough Riders.
So let's credit Johnny Shepard with a 1-yard advance, make it 2nd and 9, Hamilton. Hobart drills it down the middle, and it is complete to Rufus Crawford. And Rufus is all the way down to the 30-yard line of Montreal. This is a man who hasn't played in 6 weeks, but he comes on to make the first big play of the ball game, a 58-yard reception. Harry Skipper finally brings him down.
Well, that's a great effort because it's a simple pass pattern. Hooks across the middle. Rufus sees an opening. Phil Jones to safety, makes a bad play. He comes up, slips, and falls down. And 58 yards later, Rufus Crawford has got this crowd on its feet.
First down, Hamilton, the ball at the Montreal 30. We're scoreless in the opening moments of the first quarter. The swing pass goes out to Jackson. And the replacement for Dave Graffey, Steve Jackson, number 74, is brought down by Aaron Hill and Paul Gray after a pickup of about 4 yards.
I think Ken Hobart's going to have great difficulty throwing those swing passes to both Jackson and Shepard this afternoon because the Concordes are predominantly a zone defense, and that means those linebackers and defensive backs you see on your screen can see that play develop and come up and make the good supporting tackles as they did.
The Ticats only have 2 rookies in their lineup. One is at quarterback, Ken Hobart. The other is Steve Jackson, the product of Guelph University, at the fullback spot today. Hobart's pass is caught for a first down by Rocky DiPietro at the 18-yard line. He's forced out by Aaron Hill. Pickup is 9 yards on the pass from Hobart to DiPietro.
Well, this is just a simple case of Rocky DiPietro being 6'3" and 210 pounds. He pushed off initially from Aaron Hill, and there was no way Hill could stay with him, and a nice pass by Ken Hobart.
First down, Hamilton. The ball at the Montreal 18. Hobart down the middle, touchdown, DiPietro. The 20th touchdown pass of 1985 for quarterback Ken Hobart to a wide-open Rocky DiPietro. And Al Bruno has to be just delighted. He knows his defense will play well. He is hoping that his offense will do likewise.
Well, they just did a great adjustment. They were originally going to go to Rufus Crawford, but when Phil Jones overplayed it, Rocky DiPietro was open from the backside.
And Bernie Ruoff's point after is good. So the Hamilton Ticats, very impressive in scoring the first touchdown of the ball game. They lead Montreal 7-0. We'll be back with the Ticat kickoff in a moment. Well, there you see the scoring drive. 5 pass attempts by Ken Hobart, 5 completions to 4 different receivers. The Ticats lead at 7-0. Bernie Ruoff's kickoff will be handled by Dwight Edwards at his goal line. Another excellent return by Dwight Edwards, who this time gets it to the 30-yard line. And for a moment, it looked as though he was going to get to the outside. Ed Gadavakis, the backup linebacker, number 39, was there to bring him down. So Montreal, now trailing 7-0, know that they've got to put some kind of a drive together, but they're going to do it from deep in their own territory because there was a penalty marker on the field. Rookie coach Gary Durchik. Yes, Bill.
Pat, I was going to say that Rufus Crawford, when Al Bruno said he was going in place of Scott Colley, who was completely healthy, and Crawford had been out so long with a bad knee, there were a lot of raised eyebrows. The club doctor tells me that Crawford will last the game. He says that knee is not bad enough that he'll get out. He's got a brace on it. He'll stay. But he said Paul Bennett, it's debatable if he'll last the full game because of the pulled groin.
Thank you, Bill. The Concordes start at their 10-yard line. Barnes' pass is complete to Tony Johns. The screen was set up, but then it was diagnosed very neatly by Leo Ezrins, the linebacker on that side, and he drops him after a pickup of about 3. Al?
Well, Pat, there's one man in the stands who is not too happy with the way things started. That's Ed Ricard, of course, from the ownership group of the Montreal Concordes. We hear many rumors that maybe Amasco will be dropping the Concordes. Perhaps today's game will have something to do with their decision, but so far, so bad.
Well, it is 7-0 Hamilton, but we're early in the first quarter, and Montreal facing a 2nd and 6. The toss goes to Alan Reed, and Reed can get nowhere. He's brought down at that point by Rod Skillman, number 59, the defensive end, right at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, what a great play he made. Just fought off the block of Trevor Bowles, and no way that they could get around the corner. Just a super defensive play, and the kind of play you want to have when you've got a team backed up. There he is, number 59, Rod Skillman. And, well, we saw him a few weeks ago get a chance to play and made the most of it with a couple of sacks. He's a darn good defensive end.
So Mike McTagg will have to stand in his goal area to punt. And Rufus Crawford, whom, as I mentioned, has not played in 6 weeks, awaits at the Montreal 40-yard line. McTagg with a pretty good punt. Crawford takes it at the 43 and then explodes inside the 35 to about the 32-yard line. Well, Rufus, of course, an old teammate of yours, and in big games, Rufus really seems to come to the fore.
Well, it's true. When we were driving over here to do the game this afternoon, we talked about Rufus Crawford, and, you know, bad knee or not, they say it's healthy. He's the kind of guy that just loves to play in a pressure game like an Eastern Final, and usually comes to the fore, and he already has in this game with a big catch, 58 yards to set up that touchdown.
And look at this, Hamilton knocking on the door again. They have first down at the Montreal 31-yard line after that 12-yard return by Rufus Crawford. Hobart's going to run it. He's got the first down, and he very alertly steps out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Eastern Canada's nominee as the top player of 1985, Ken Hobart, continues to shine for Hamilton.
Well, what so often happens when you're a predominantly zone cover team on first down, the linebackers drop off. Hobart sees that immediately. He does not hesitate whatsoever, and 17 yards later, he's got a first down, and once again, Hamilton just in great position.
We're approaching the halfway mark of the opening quarter. Ticats in front, 7-0. Banging on the door again. Into the end zone, and it's ruled a touchdown. Boy, that's a big, big controversial play. Steve Stakler made the catch, and then the ball was knocked out of his hands by Miles Darling, but the touchdown will count. throw on by Ken Hobart.
Oh, it sure was, Pat. Nice touch on that ball. We've seen him do that earlier in the year with Steve Stapler. Those two have a little chemistry going when they get down by the goal line.
So Bernie Ruoff's point after is good once again. And with 7 minutes and 43 seconds left to play in the opening quarter, Hamilton has jumped out in front 14-0. We'll be back in a moment.
Touchdown one more time. A perfect alley-oop pass by Ken Hobart. There's a nice catch by Steve Stapler.
We'll take a look at that one again because I'll tell you it was very close. And on the kickoff return, the Concordes get the ball out over the 25 to the 26 by Vince Faison. But let me tell you that the wind is a definite factor in this opening quarter. Montreal is going into it. I've been coming to this park for 25 years, and let me guarantee you this much. When you're going with the wind, as the Ticats are now, you normally score a lot of points if you have a half-decent offense, but you don't score too many going against it.
Now, Pat, you know what impresses me? Ken Hobart saw the blitz coming all the way, recognized it, and had the perfect pattern call. That's experience.
So now, Montreal trailing 14-0. Start at their 26. Barnes had problems with the pass from center. He very alertly just fell on the ball. Grover Covington made sure he didn't get up and go anyplace.
You know, if we go back to that touchdown just for a second, and Gary Dirkschik, yes, you have to be concerned. 14-0, and it's early. Montreal sometimes, you've got to disguise your defense. They just put everybody up on the line of scrimmage and said, hey, look, Ken, we're coming with the blitz, whether you like it or not. He read it easily and hooked up with Steve Stapler. Stapler's 10th touchdown of 1985.
2 drives for Hamilton, 2 touchdowns. Barnes' pass is dropped by Tony Johns. He was covered there by Ben Zambiazzi, but Johns wasn't able to make the catch. And even had he wouldn't have picked up very much because Zambiazzi was on him. And we will see Mike McTagg punting once again with 6 minutes and 53 seconds left to play in the opening quarter. And Hamilton has jumped all over Montreal 14-0.
Hamilton's done a really smart thing, too. They know that McTagg's kicking into that strong breeze. They put 3 guys back so far in this first quarter to try and handle those punts.
Hits this one a little higher to Wayne Lee at the 53-yard line. And Lee again just goes straight up the field and gets inside the Montreal 50 to about the 48-yard line. So once again, the Hamilton Ticats are going to start an excellent field position. Their opening drive, they got the ball deep in their own territory, but then exploded with that long 58-yard completion to Rufus Crawford.
You know, what's always interesting to me, Pat, is as a quarterback, when you come into a game, you know teams' tendencies. You've seen them on film all week, and you hope to heck that they stay in those tendencies. So far, Ken Hobart, all he's seen is zone coverage, and he's been able to read everything and do pretty much what he wants to.
Hasn't missed a pass yet. He's 6 for 6. Drops it over the middle to Rocky DiPietro. DiPietro has a first down. He's inside the 35 to about the 32-yard line. And Hobart just having a field day picking this Concordes defense apart.
Well, I'm sure on film he's seen that when you get the rollout and a lot of receivers to one side, Montreal overreacts to the football. That time Rocky DiPietro just delayed and came back against the grain, and a good bit of scouting job by the Ticats. I know that they saw something and knew they could take advantage of it.
First down, Hamilton. Hobart to a wide open. Number 75 is Ron Ingram, and now it's 20-0.
This time the defense just totally ignored Ron Ingram when they thought Ken Hobart was going to run with it. The easiest touchdown he'll ever score.
The only time that Hobart has been touched by anybody, he was touched by Marv Alabang, his offensive lineman, when Hobart ran into him when he was coming out of the pocket before he found Ron Ingram. So it is 21-0 Hamilton, and we've played 9.5 minutes of this first quarter. The Ticats look awesome.
Well, in fact, they just totally dominated both on defense and on offense with some big plays, but Ken Hobart, third in the league in rushing. You have to respect that aspect of his game. Montreal just took a gamble. They came up too early and they lost.
You know, Al Bruno, who has come in for criticism over the years as the head coach of the Hamilton Ticats, first of all, he was elevated from his director of player personnel role to become the head coach late 2 seasons ago. He's directed this club to the Grey Cup last season. They're 21-0 here in the Eastern Final. We haven't played half a quarter yet. And you would have to think that maybe now he's starting to turn some heads, and they're going to say, this guy's not shabby.
Well, he's a player's coach. They all like him. He's a very relaxed kind of guy, and it certainly transcends through the rest of the ball club.
Dwight Edwards has problems with the kickoff, and he's going to stay in the end zone. So it'll be another point for Hamilton, make it 22-0 Ticats, but at least this time, Edwards will give Montreal the best field position they've had in their last 2 outings because the ball will come to the 35-yard line.
You know, they're in a tough spot, too, now. As you say, trailing by 22 points. Hamilton's defense ranked 3rd in the Canadian Football League this year in total yards given up. So you know they're pretty stingy at the best of times. And for the 22-point cushion, Montreal really has its work cut out for it.
They start from their own 35-yard line. Barnes going deep for Edwards, but it's over his head. Obviously wanting to loosen up that defense a little bit. But the thing that Montreal has to realize, they've got 3.5 quarters left to come back. Sure, they've dug themselves a monumental hole, but they've got a lot of time to come back.
Well, they sure do. And Joe Barnes, you know, he's been around for 10 years from Texas Tech. He knows that, too. But the coverage that they showed him the last time dictated that he take a shot at Dwight Edwards deep.
Gary Durchik, the rookie head coach of the Concordes, is 3-0, has not lost a game since taking over from Joe Gallant as the head man. Barnes fires. The pass is complete to Jeff Patterson, who came back toward the quarterback, but because he did, they did not get the first down. They'll be 1.5 yards short. Let's go to field level.
You know, Pat, here at the Montreal bench, it's like looking at a team in total shock. They're like a boxer who's been knocked down 3 times in the first round. There's been a bunch of little meetings held, but right now they've got to get something going in the way of a big play. That was nearly it. Something to kind of spark the lethargy that has hit them in this quick 21-point output.
I agree with you, Al, and I'm sure they are shocked because, of course, Hamilton's reputation has been built on its great defense this year. But now, with Ken Hobart really settling in at that quarterback spot, you can see that the offense is really starting to come. Well, they needed something like this, too. Something a little different. Now, where did he step out of bounds? Beyond the first down marker or right at it? Yeah.
I think he got it by the skin of his nose. He made a great effort, Mike McTagg, the punter, at that last second just to get that foot ahead of the marker, and he makes it by a couple of inches, you see right there.
Do you think that was a design run all the way?
Definitely, definitely. And I think it was a good call by Gary Durchik. You're down 22-0. You need something to kind of shock your team back into reality. They've been stunned, as Al McCann said. Maybe that's the kind of play that'll get them on track.
Well, it'll be interesting to find out if it was a design play or if he got the pressure from the outside and may have thought, I can't get the punt away anyway. Regardless, it's first down, Montreal. And Johns drops the football for the second time in this first quarter. Tony Johns is a youngster from Mississauga, Ontario, just outside of Toronto, who went to school at Henderson State. And in his high school days, he played against Sterling Hines, the former member of Canada's Olympic racing team, and now, of course, with the Toronto Argonauts. So it's second down. And 10 yards to go, Montreal. But Johns makes a good catch this time. Unfortunately, he couldn't maintain his balance after making the catch. And once again, Montreal will come up 1.5 yards short of first down.
Really shows how strong that win was against Joe Barnes. He had a chance to really lead Tony Johnson, pick up the first down easily, but couldn't get the ball in there. Bill?
The story of this Eastern final has been the young quarterback, Ken Hobart. And the interesting thing about this young man is he says, my running reminds me of a young quarterback who doesn't know offense. And he says, that's the reason I run so much. He also says, and a lot of people talk to him about the Shenley, he says, well, let's face it. He says, Fernandez should win the Shenley.
There's a flag down as Rufus Crawford takes the punt and gets over his 35 to about the 38-yard line, and we'll find out what the penalty marker's about when we come back. The Ticats lead at 22-0. Montreal picks up the first down, and now Joe Barnes in trouble, scrambles out of there and slides down to the 30-yard line, and Montreal will have another first down. They're on the move.
Well, we got caught in a commercial while we were away. Alan Reed, after the 5-yard penalty, gave Montreal a first down, picked up another first down with a good execution on the draw. Back-to-back now as Joe Barnes as well runs and scrambles for a first down.
It's first down, Montreal at the Hamilton 30-yard line. This is Alan Reed again, and Reed is down to about the 26-yard line. Leon Lescavage hopped on his back as he crossed the 30, but he was able to drag him for a couple more.
Well, Pat, as you well know, this is when the Montreal Concordes are most effective, when they're able to run that football and then roll out with either the play action and then throw the ball. But if they can get Alan Reed involved rushing with the football, it's going to make Joe Barnes' job that much easier.
So it's second down, 6 yards to go. Montreal, the ball at the Hamilton 26. They trail 22-0. Barnes throws down the middle to Iraqi, and Iraqi fights his way inside the 20, and he'll have another Montreal first down. This is what the Concordes had to do. Going against the wind, they had to make sure that at least they moved the football so that Hamilton, which has been awesome, wouldn't have an opportunity to go with it for the duration of this quarter.
And an excellent job by Nick Iraqi to stop in the hole. And when he saw Ben Zambiazzi, the linebacker, he just stopped and waited for Joe Barnes to hit him. Nice read.
It's first down, Montreal. The ball is inside the Hamilton 20. And Barnes going to the end zone, and over the head of the intended receiver, Alan Reed, the running back, who had come out of the backfield.
From a psychological standpoint, Pat, I think this is a critical drive for the Concordes to get some spirit going.
Well, Al, I couldn't agree with you more. They'd certainly like to get something at this point in the game, but excellent coverage by Howard Fields on Alan Reed, forced Joe Barnes to throw the ball to the outside and out of bounds.
So it's second down, 10 yards to go, Concordes. And Grover Covington, who has been the outstanding defensive player on this Hamilton squad all season long, is there to drop Joe Barnes for a big loss back at the 30-yard line.
Well, Pat, in fact, Grover Covington led the CFL this season in quarterback sacks with 16. Number 66, Lloyd Fairbanks, pulled out from his guard spot, just could not handle big Grover Covington.
And you know that Montreal offensive unit gave up only 38 sacks all season. That is number 1 in the entire CFL. So it gives you an indication of the kind of year that Grover Covington has had. The way that he was able to just fly through there against the offensive line, which had given up the fewest sacks. Roy Kurtz's field goal try is good. And boy, what a big 3 points that will be. It comes on the final play of the first quarter. It puts the Concordes on the board, but the Ticats have really jumped on them. It's 22-3. Hamilton leading it. We'll be back with the second quarter in a moment. We are set to begin the second quarter of play. Hamilton out in front, 22-3, and they start from their 35-yard line. Johnny Shepard is racked by Brett Williams a yard back of the line of scrimmage, and maybe Montreal can get cranked up now. They have the wind at their back. They also have their first points as you take a look at how Hamilton dominated that opening quarter on our Chevrolet statistical story. They had 168 yards to only 66 for Montreal. Hobart was 8 for 8. Barnes was 6 for 11.
You know, Pat, I suspect that 168 yards is probably one of Hamilton's best opening quarters of the season. They couldn't have timed it better.
Well, as you can see, Chuck McMahon was standing on the sidelines with his muff on. That's to keep the old hands warm, but it's not that bad here today. Ken Hobart's trying to keep his warm as well, but it's about 40 degrees, and it is certainly the best day we've had for a football game in this part of the country for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Boy, I can't believe the amount of rain. I'll never criticize anybody who lives in Vancouver again. Bill?
Let me tell you, for this year in the Grey Cup, there is going to be some very, very big developments as far as the Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars are concerned, because this year's Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars in the 85 Grey Cup game, that's next Sunday at Montreal, will receive 1 pound of gold presented by Kodak, makers of the new 8mm Kodavision video systems featuring the portable all-in-one camera and recorder from Kodak. A pound of gold. Pat, that's more than our gold mines we invest in usually have.
Hobart on first down throws. It's complete to DiPietro. All the way to the 1-yard line. Rocky DiPietro.
Well, we got a good look at him. Aaron Hill gambled and lost. He tried to get in on the hook pattern. DiPietro breaks 1 tackle of Harry Skipper, and watch Johnny Shepard and Steve Stapler do a great job to pick up some blocks. Finally, number 36, Miles Darling, comes all the way across the field, and a big 76-yard pass and run play to Rocky DiPietro.
That may be the one that seals the Montreal fate, because though we're early in the ball game, they had come back. They seem to be pumped up. DiPietro may have broken their back as Hamilton scores once again. Johnny Shepard, with his first touchdown of 1985, has given Hamilton a 28-3 lead.
Well, he owes half of that touchdown to Rocky DiPietro, because Rocky's had some kind of first half. The 1981 Shenley Outstanding Canadian, some big plays. 1 touchdown and a 76-yard play that set up Shepard's. Wow.
I'd be more inclined to say he owes them 9/10 of that touchdown.
I would say so.
And Bernie Ruoff's point after is good. Hamilton leads Montreal 29-3. We'll be back with the kickoff in a moment. Only played 1 quarter and a minute and a half of the second, and there's the score. Hamilton 29, Montreal 3. They've all come on offensive touchdowns. Ken Hobart is 9 for 9 for 227 yards.
Well, Pat, you know, it's impressive to me. You've got a 48% passer on the season in Ken Hobart. He's 9 for 9. Boy, that tells me about something about him in a big game.
Vince Faison takes the kickoff at his 8-yard line. And he's brought down by John Priestner inside the 20. It just seemed to me, after that big play by DiPietro, Montreal sagged. You could see it in their face.
Well, you know, it's awful. Is all season long, defensively, they have made big plays. You know, that's been the key to their football team. But this afternoon, just have not been able to do anything on defense right. A couple of missed tackles here and there, and the ability of Ken Hobart to get that ball in there. I mean, that was a great throw that he made to DiPietro.
So Montreal will start again. The ball at their 18-yard line. Barnes going deep. Jeff Patterson cannot catch up to it at midfield.
Well, and Joe Barnes took a pretty good shot from number 65, Mitchell Price, when he released that football. And that front four for Hamilton really has been a key to their success this season. 53 quarterback sacks on the year. And Jeff Patterson runs a pretty good pattern, but Joe Barnes had to let that ball go just a little before he was ready because of the pressure.
2nd and 10, Concordes. The ball at their 18 with 12 minutes, 45 seconds left to play in this second quarter. Barnes completes it to Iraqi. And Iraqi steps out. Let's see where they'll spot it at the 29-yard line, and that should be enough for the first down.
I understand Nick Iraqi spent a lot of the week in hospital in Montreal with an elbow infection. infection that's bothered him actually for a couple of years, but does an excellent job getting underneath the linebackers. Those are good pass patterns against Hamilton because, as we mentioned, they're predominantly zone. That means the linebackers will drop. The underneath crossing pattern should be effective.
From the 29-yard line, it's first down. A flag is down as Alan Reed, the ball carrier, runs into Greg Gary, and we'll probably have a procedure penalty against the Ticats. Or, excuse me, against Montreal.
Well, Doug Scott and Wally Buono are trying to sort things out on the sidelines. Defensively, it has been an extremely disastrous first half. Doug Scott had a great game last week and their semifinal win, but so far they haven't got pressure. And Ken Hobart, and he's had everything his own way.
Well, Bruno, you know,
I'll tell you how bad it's going for Montreal, Pat. The wind's even gone down when they have the ball.
That's when you know you're in trouble, Al. You're right. I was just going to say, I've never seen Al Bruno more relaxed. Why shouldn't he be? His club's leading by 26. Barnes' pass is caught by Mike McTagg, and he hangs on for another Montreal first down at the 45-yard line. Pickup of 14 yards.
That's a great catch by Mike McTagg. He just gets rocked by number 27, the safety Paul Bennett, and Howard Fields as well from his back, so he's still down on the turf.
Well, not surprising. I'm sure he's had the wind knocked out of him. He got sandwiched in there.
Gentlemen, we all remember when the Hamilton Tiger Cats were the big bad club, and we'll talk about that a little more when we come back, as it is Hamilton 29, Montreal 3, and the CFL on CTV will continue in a moment.
It's first down, Montreal. The ball at their 45. Barnes pass over the head of Jeff Patterson. He took a hit from Donovan Rose as both went high in the air, but it simply goes as an incomplete forward pass. Jeff Patterson from Youngstown State. The outside receivers of Montreal have really not been a factor in their pass offense until Joe Barnes arrived on the scene.
Well, you're talking about a guy like Jeff Patterson, 14 catches on the season. And I think he played about 14 games for them, so the production just was not there.
And Barnes is dropped. Rod Skillman was in there. He'll get credit for the sack. Number 59, Rod Skillman with the sack for Hamilton.
He's been around with the Ticats for a couple of years, a graduate from Missouri. Sometimes does not play depending on the scheme that they want to use with their import ratio, but ever since he played in the last game of the season and then last week against, or rather, in the last game against Calgary and this game, he has played well.
So McTagg, for the first time in this ball game, will be punting with the wind at his back, although, as Al mentioned, it does have a tendency to decrease in force. But he gets a pretty good punt away this time to Lee back at his 32-yard line. Wayne Lee gets it out over the 35 to about the 38. John Priestner has words with somebody. But nothing materializes.
Well, actually, Ben Zambiazzi made the hit. He's hitting everybody today.
Leaf, that's the way the entire Hamilton club has been playing. You know, the only starting quarterback to finish a game versus Hamilton this year was Dunnigan of the Edmonton Eskimos, because they've knocked out DeWalt, Clements twice, Holloway, Gill, and Pow Pow. And that's why, as far as Bruno is concerned, we're hitting like the days of Mosca and Barrow.
On first down, Ken Hobart's pass is caught to about the 48-yard line. Rufus Crawford with the reception. Paul Gray made the stop. But what an amazing statistic. Hamilton has had the ball 4 times, and every time they've marched for a touchdown. 89, 31, 48, and 75 yards, respectively, the drives.
Well, you know, that's an interesting statistic because all year long they have not been a team that's been able to put big drives together. Now, they've had some pretty exciting plays to do it today.
It's second down, 7 yards to go. A little misdirection as Hobart now is going to go deep again for Stigler, but this time he overthrows him and has got his first incompletion of the afternoon. Isn't that amazing? Ken Hobart has played a quarter and 5 minutes of the second, and just now throws his first incompletion.
Now, this is an all-or-nothing play, and only a one-man pattern to Steve Stapler, and no chance to complete that one. Good shot by number 71, the defensive tackle, Brett Williams.
10 of 11 in passing, Ken Hobart, for 230 yards.
Oh, he's a guy that you have to appreciate because he's not the fanciest of quarterbacks by any stretch of the imagination. He's just a guy that gets the job done.
Bernie Ruoff was a little cavalier in handling that pass from center. It was a good one. They will rule that he was down at the 22-yard line, but what a break for the Concordes. Bernie Ruoff simply mishandled the pass from center, and Montreal is going to get a life.
Well, you know, Bernie's been known to do this in the past. He does not have the greatest of hands, and rather than try and get a kick off this block, I think he did the smart thing under the circumstances.
With the score, Hamilton 29, Montreal 3, the Concordes really needed something to pep them up. And this might be it, because John Pointer was on him right away. The ball came loose, but they ruled that Ruoff had been down at that point. And now the biggest crowd of the year here in Hamilton. It's upwards of 25 to 30,000, I would think, are wondering if their defense can shut down the Concordes. Let's watch. Ball is at the 26-yard line. Barnes' pass is caught by Mike McTagg inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. Mark Streeter is there to make the tackle for Hamilton. Pickup of 12.
Now, Mike McTagg's been a good medium-range receiver the entire 1985 season for the Concordes. 47 catches on the year, only a 14.0 average. That tells me that he's good on the hooks and outs to pick up those first downs.
The ball didn't come out. Barnes took a half step back, but Glenn Keeble didn't bring the ball up to him.
Well, I tell you, you hate being the center in those situations when people are jumping outside, because you've got to sit there and get whacked.
Bernie Ruoff is a player that you can't see. He's hidden by the club doctor, but he took a pretty good smack on the nose, and it is bleeding, and I think the club doctor's just checking to make sure it isn't broken. Not often a kicker gets hit, but Bernie had no protection, and he was really rattled.
Okay, Montreal gets another break here. They rule that Hamilton had jumped offside, so it is 1st and 5. Concordes, the ball now at the Hamilton 9-yard line. Slipped as he got to the line of scrimmage, but Montreal, after Reed had fumbled the football, were able to get it back.
Boy, are they ever fortunate to recover this one. It looked initially a pretty good hole for Alan Reed, but he just trips and coughs up the football. I believe it's number 60, Blake Neal, who will recover the football and keep their possession.
So they end up with the ball back at the Hamilton 11-yard line, where it'll be 2nd down, 7 yards to go. Montreal from that point. They trailed 29-3 with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. Barnes throws to Iraqi, touchdown, Montreal. What an alert play by the Montreal quarterback, Joe Barnes, who, under terrific pressure, finally found Iraqi, and they get the major score.
Well, let's watch Nick Iraqi as he slides across the middle. Leo Esrin's number 72 is in man-to-man coverage, but he just gets caught up in Joe Barnes' scrambling abilities, thinks he's going to run, and turns Iraqi loose. Now, once again, a good look. Watch Leo Esrin 72 on your screen. He thinks Barnes is going to run with the football and turns the big tight end loose.
So now Roy Kurtz will try to give Montreal their 10th point. And he does. It's now a 29-10 ball game in favor of Hamilton with 7:51 left. And we'll be back in a moment.
A banquet that took place in Hamilton. We'll show that at halftime. Also, the second half winners of the Pacific Western Stars of the Week. We will take a look at those star players, and then Leaf will have his highlights. It was all Hamilton highlights, really, until the last few moments, and then Nick Iraqi went over for the touchdown, and suddenly Leaf and Pat, we've got a ball game.
Well, we'll have a ball game for sure if Montreal can score another touchdown. It's 29-10 in favor of the Ticats right now. The kickoff sails, and Howard Fields has to go into his end zone, and he's going to leave it in there and concede the single point.
I think that's a good move. They're going into the wind here in the second quarter, and get yourself out at the 35-yard line. You don't want to be stuck deep in your own territory with a 29-10 lead.
Gary Durchik, as nice a fellow as you can meet, very low-key, really a class act. They tell me the players are crazy about him in Montreal, and if they can come back from this will be one of the greatest victories in his career if he coaches from now till he's 65. Hamilton with the ball at their own 35-yard line. It's been all Ticats so far. Pass is complete to Rufus Crawford, and Crawford is very close to another first down before Jeffers and Darling, numbers 72 and 36, combined to bring him down.
You know, Hamilton has expected Montreal to be in his own defense throughout this ball game, and Montreal has not disappointed them. That's a great call on first down, something that I'm sure they had in their game plan on first down. Little quick outs, and if they're in zone, we're going to pick out the right hole and right guy to throw to. Hobart's executed it perfectly.
It's second down and about a yard to go for the first down. Hobart tosses it out to Shepard, and Shepard dives forward, but I don't believe he has the first down. I believe the handoff was supposed to go to Jackson, but I don't know that he was necessarily there to take it.
Well, it's hard to tell. That option is in their offensive repertoire, and Ken Hobart elected to pitch to Shepard. Aaron Hill made a fantastic play.
If that was the call, it was a dumb one, because on second down and less than a yard to go for the first down, they ended up losing a yard.
Well, I'm sure that was the call, no question about it. They run the option. I want to see how Bernie Ruoff handles this snap.
Boy, oh boy, this thing could turn around on that very play. Do you know that? We said that on the previous one by DiPietro, but Phil Jones, with the punt return for Montreal, has it over the 45 to the 46. Leo Esrins was there to make the stop, but the Concordes, with 6:21 left to play in the second quarter, are going to take over in enviable field position after only a 25-yard punt by Ruoff and a 4-yard return.
Well, you know, I'm sure the Montreal defense had a meeting after the offense scored and said, listen, we've had a bad first half, but from now on, we got to just tighten it down and not allow any more points. And you never know, maybe our offense can get back in this football game.
First down, Montreal. The ball at their 46. This is Tony Johns. And again, that was a very slow developing play. Johns will end up losing a couple of yards. Leon Lescavich was first to meet him back of the line of scrimmage, along with Rod Skillman, numbers 64 and 59.
Well, that's a pretty tough group to run the football against. Lescavich and Skillman on that left side, really shutting that play down.
You've got the wind at your back, Joe. Go for it. Second down, 12 yards to go. And now Barnes gets caught up in the traffic, and they're going to have to punt the football.
Well, we're watching a defense, as I mentioned earlier, ranked third in the league in offense given up, and one of the reasons why is that secondary. They just did such a good job. He wanted to go to Jeff Patterson. Howard Fields had him covered like a blanket. That allowed Grover Covington and Mitchell Price to get in and get the sack, and once again, that Hamilton defense just does an excellent job.
Ticats were fourth in the CFL in sacks this year. They picked up 3 in this ball game. Punt is handled by Rufus Crawford. And Rufus, one of the outstanding punt returners, gets the ball up to the 50, but there is a penalty marker up around midfield. Holding is against Hamilton. He's an exciting guy to watch run back punts. Rufus Crawford.
Well, of course, that was really one of the main reasons why Al Bruno elected to put Crawford in the lineup today, replacing slot back Scott Colley. Because of that injury to Paul Bennett, he didn't want him returning punts, and he wanted Rufus's speed in there.
Holding. Hamilton, number 65. First down.
Mitchell Price called for holding, and look where the ball is. Boy, it's back inside the 20-yard line.
Well, an excellent return by Rufus Crawford. However, they did come back with that holding penalty.
Ball is at the 17-yard line. First down, Hamilton. And on the draw, John Shepard gets to about the 19 for a pickup of 2.
Well, this is the thing the Montreal defense has to do. They've got to really try and shut Hamilton down. They trail by 18 points in this game and really cannot allow it to get any further out of hand.
No, if they could pick up a touchdown before halftime and make it 29 to 18, they are right back in the ball game. And they'd have some psychological advantage to that, too, knowing they were able to come back from the big hole they dug themselves. Hobart is not able to scramble. Brett Williams and Doug Scott put a lot of pressure on him.
Brett Williams, who was a PWA Star of the Week a few weeks ago in their final season game, really got the pressure on Ken Hobart. Montreal did something different that time. They came with the all-out blitz. They've got to throw the timing off of Ken Hobart. They were able to do so.
Well, you don't leave Montreal should get pretty good field position here. You make a good point about the comeback possibility. If this were boxing, they'd have stopped it in the first quarter on the 3 knockdown rule.
I agree.
Ruoff has a pretty good punt. It's high and is to the 50-yard line where Phil Jones takes it to about the 46. And Montreal is going to operate on Hamilton's side of midfield with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the second quarter.
On Joe Barnes, you've got to be thinking touchdown now. You don't want to settle for field goals at this point. 7 points will really put you back in this football game.
Now the wide receivers are Dwight Edwards, number 1, and Jeff Patterson, number 80. And he's got Alan Reed and Tony Johns, 34 and 21, as his running backs. Mike McTagg comes in motion into the slot. And Barnes is dropped from behind. Grover Covington, number 77, records his 3rd sack of this ball game.
You know, Pat, what's even more impressive about Grover Covington leading the league this year in sacks is that he's the end always to the wide side of the field, and often that means you're going to get double-teamed with the back, as you see there. Tony Johns had to take him at the end, but he still fought through the block of Blake Neal. Tony Johns to get the sack. He is an impressive defensive end.
From Johnson C. Smith University, his 5th year with the Ticats, Grover Covington. It's 29-11. Ticats lead it. We'll be back in a moment. 15 yards to go. Montreal. The ball is at the Hamilton 53 with 3 minutes left to play in the second quarter. Well, Barnes elected to run, but he was brought down by Grover Covington once again. Covington is all over that Montreal offense here in the second quarter particularly.
Well, that won't go as a quarterback sack for Grover, but nevertheless, he just did a great job. Hamilton has had the pressure all afternoon against Joe Barnes. He's really had to scramble around, and, you know, the defensive backs are no fools either. They know they're going to get that good pressure, so they've been coming up and jamming the inside receivers of Montreal, Mike McTagg and Nick Araki.
McTagg punts it toward the sideline. Now, where does it roll off? At the 3-yard line. A great punt by Mike McTagg. He just hit it low, angled it toward the sideline, and just did a super job.
Well, he really did, because with 2 minutes and 34 seconds, they've got plenty of time for their defense to hold Hamilton and then get the ball back. There's Mike McTagg, a Shenley nomination from the Montreal Concordes in both the MVP category and as outstanding Canadian.
Gary Durchik, the rookie head coach of the Concordes, he wasn't uptight at all about this ball game either. He felt his club would play well. Well, they didn't come out and play well in the opening quarter, but they seem to have settled down considerably. Hobart keeps it himself, and just looking to pick up whatever yardage he can, manages to get up to the 9-yard line for a pickup of about 7. Bill?
Well, we have more gold to give away, Pat. The Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars on today's game will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce gold coin presented by Kodak, makers of the new 8mm Codavision video system featuring the portable all-in-one camera and recorder from Kodak. Let me tell you, an ounce of gold. It's not bad to win for a pretty good performance, and also, if you play that well, I think it also means you'll go to the Grey Cup next Sunday and have a chance at winning just a huge award, 1 pound of gold. So the players are playing for a lot more than just to get to the Grey Cup today.
Well, I'll say, what a prize. A pound of gold.
A pound of gold,
That's 16 times 325 U.S.
Okay, quickly, how much is that?
Well, it's well over $500 U.S.
Like about 32 or 3,300 U.S., I would think.
No.
It's got to be about 5,000.
It's over 5,000 U.S. 16 times 325.
I knew four of you guys would finally come up with a figure anyway.
It's second down, 3 yards to go, and the pass is complete to DiPietro. Boy, what a big catch for Rocky.
Great call on second down by Ken Hobart, too. You know, he's really done an excellent job, and I'd like to check with statistician Bobby Layden on Rocky DiPietro. His statistics for the first half, they have to be extremely impressive. 5 catches, 127 yards. Not bad. That'd be a great total for the whole game.
And what he has done is given Hamilton a very important first down with the ball outside their 15 at the 17. With a minute 57 left to play in the second quarter. Hobart slipped as he dropped into the pocket, and look at him. Ken Hobart is over the 35 to the 38 before he's tripped up by Phil Jones. Unbelievable the improvement in this man since he's come to this club.
Well, Brett Williams had him in his grasp and just could not hang on. And what this does now with a minute and 40 remaining, they just wanted to get the ball out of their own territory. He's thinking now I can maybe put some points on the board here.
Ball is at the Hamilton 36. Hobart actually threw that one away. There was no question. He couldn't find anybody open. So he said, good, I'll throw the ball out of bounds.
Oh, that's a good job by him, too. You know, he had only 14 interceptions on the season, and that's one of the reasons why. When he's in trouble, just get rid of it. Don't take any chances, and he's still got second and 10, a minute and 24 to go, so he knows he can get it down maybe in range for Bernie Ruoff to have a chance.
Boy, he's had a tough afternoon, Ken Hobart, hasn't he? 12 out of 14, 247 yards, and has his club 29 offensive points.
Well, you know, Montreal really hasn't tried to confuse him or anything. That's what you like to do to a young quarterback, but they've played it pretty straight.
This time he's knocked off his feet inside the 30 at about the 27. Doug Scott and Steve Rocky were able to get in there and drop the Hamilton quarterback with a minute 18 left to play in this second quarter. And we've got a timeout called by the Concordes. Good move by them because it stops the clock, and they'll end up with about a minute and the football to see if they can get it into the end zone.
Well, that's a very heads-up play by Gary Durchik, the head coach of the Montreal Concordes. You know, we can't forget he's undefeated as a head coach in 1985, having taken over from Joe Galette. You saw the left of your screen there, Jerry DiTilio, the veteran. There's Jerry. He's been used sparingly this year as a quarterback. Played a little wide receiver, in fact, for them when they got into injury problems. But a nice guy to have on the bench.
Well, the wide world of sports is going to bring us an awful lot of great entertainment. That's the 85 World Gymnastics Championships, the individual competition. Just a tremendous show. The Carling O'Keefe World Championship bathtub race. I don't know if Pat Marsden's in that one or not, but it's going to be a great wide world of sports next week on CTV.
Ruoff's punt is handled by Harry Skipper. Oh, and Skipper had been able to get rid of John Priestner. Priestner got his arm on him as Skipper went high in the air. Had he been able to avoid that tackle, he might well have gone the distance.
Oh, just got an arm out there to upend Harry Skipper. And you're right, he had some running room had he been able to get by John Priestner.
A minute 8 left to play in this first half. Montreal has possession at the Hamilton 52-yard line. That was a 47-yard punt by Ruoff into the wind, 11-yard return. Barnes over the middle looking for Iraqi, but his hand may have been hit as he released the football.
They're doing an interesting job on Nick Iraqi. You know, all week long, Hamilton coaching staff said that they were going to pay extra attention to Nick Iraqi, and I don't blame them. But what they've done this afternoon is put number 72, Leo Esmerns, who's 6'5" himself, on the big man, and then a defensive back to pick him up deeper if he goes on the deep pass pattern.
Second and 10, Montreal at the Hamilton 52. And underneath is Nick Iraqi this time. but he only gets to the 46-yard line for a pickup of 6 before he's forced out by Greg Gary.
Well, they played right into the hands of the Hamilton defensive philosophy that time. 2nd and 10. Well, that Iraqi catch it coming across the middle. We got 3 linebackers back there that can come up and make the play. That time it was number 41, Greg Gary.
Less than a minute to go, Leaf. You think they'll go on 3rd down?
Gotta go. They've got to go. It is, and they are going. It is 3rd down and 4 yards to go for the 1st down. Midfield. It really is amazing the amount of pressure they get from their front 4. They seldom blitz, and yet all the pressure comes from their 4 down linemen.
And it was number 65 really with the pressure, Mitchell Price, and he's working on Lloyd Fairbanks, who's a perennial all-star. He gets the initial pressure, but I believe Grover Covington's the one that's going to pick up the sack. But hold on a minute.
Ooh, what a big break. What a major break for Montreal. Hamilton is called for holding at, and so Montreal will have the ball at the Hamilton 36-yard line with 51 seconds left to play in this 2nd quarter. So instead of giving up the football, Montreal ends up with a 1st down at the Hamilton 36. Fires complete to Iraqi at the 25-yard line. He's brought down by Les Brown, but boy, did Barnes drill that one in there.
Good job by Nick Iraqi to find the open hole. There's the coverage we talked about. Leo Ezrin's on him with the defensive back to pick him up if he goes deep. That case, it was Les Brown, but what a great throw by Joe Barnes.
45 seconds left to play in the 2nd quarter. Barnes over the middle to McTagg. He hangs on despite being really hammered by Paul Bennett. Oh, what a job by McTagg to hang on to the football down around the 10-yard line.
Now watch this hit by number 27, Paul Bennett. That's the 2nd time in his 1st half that Mike McTagg has just made a sensational catch while being just totally rocked when he catches that football.
Barnes' pass is complete to McTagg inside the 5. Mark Streeter was there to bring him down, but McTagg, who took the hit, was still able to come back on the very next play, and Gary Durchik is saying, let's make sure we get this touchdown. 30 seconds left to play in the 2nd quarter. It is 2nd down and about 4 yards to go for the 1st down. Barnes throws and it is picked off by Paul Bennett, the co-leader in interceptions this year. What a big play by Paul Bennett.
Well, this is one of those plays where the quarterback simply did not see the middle safety, Paul Bennett, trying to hit on the post pattern, and Bennett just came across. That's technically his 13th interception on the season. But again, too, it was the pressure from Grover Covington and company. He was trying to hit Jeff Patterson. No way he could get the ball in there.
Well, the Ticats set a new CFL record with 46 interceptions this year. So maybe it's fitting that Paul Bennett, who along with Les Brown picked 12 of them off, was there to snuff out that Montreal attempt.
Boy, I've been in these situations before, and psychologically, it's just has to really destroy Montreal. They thought maybe they're going to get a chance. Got the break with that holding penalty to pick up a 1st down, and just as though it appeared they were really going to get themselves back in this game, Paul Bennett snuffed it out with a big interception.
So with just 6 seconds left on the clock, Ken Hobart will be quite content to run it out. He'll have to do it one more time. But you're right, Leaf. I mean, you know, instead of a 29-18 score at halftime, it's going to be 29-11, and it's so tough for them.
Well, I guarantee you, had they scored when the 1st half ended, that Montreal team would have just gone running across the field with jubilation into the locker room. Now you watch them. I think they're going to go off a little slower and say, boy, have we got a long way to go.
Well, the half ends at a 29-11 count in favor of the Ticats over the Montreal Concordes. A very entertaining first half, I might add. Fans here in Hamilton are excited about it, and why not? They know that if their club can hang on for 30 minutes, they're going to be in next Sunday's Grey Cup game. Bill? That they have the wind in the fourth and final quarter. So they're going to give Montreal the ball and the wind here in the third quarter as Vince Faison takes the kickoff and returns it over the 30 to the 33-yard line. Bill?
Let's take a look at the first half Chevrolet statistics, and they show you part of the ball game and what occurred. Net yards tells the real story. There you have Hamilton 259 to 135 for Montreal, and that really is the story of the game. It was passing 247 to 130 for Montreal.
Well, the Concordes know they need points, and they've got to get them in this third quarter when they've got the wind at their back. This is Alan Reed, and Reed runs into Leo Esrins as he gets to the 35-yard line for a pickup of just a couple. Well, let me ask you this, Lee Pedersen. Montreal obviously needs points, but are they running the football to try to keep that front four a little honest? Is that the game plan?
Well, I think they have to. Pat, they only trail by 18. They've got a half of football to play. I mean, I don't think it's time to start throwing the bombs and everything. Joe Barnes, if he stays with a balanced attack, certainly can score 3 touchdowns in one half of football.
They set up the screen for Tony Johns, but Johns was upended by Howard Fields and then really cranked as he got to about the 38-yard line.
Well, on the other side of the coin, too, Hamilton is a stingy defense, and Montreal is really going to have their work cut out for them if they want to try and get back and overtake the Ticats.
Well, Montreal has got to try and establish some field position here, too. If Mike McCagg could kick Hamilton deep into their own territory, Bernie Ruoff will be punting into the wind in this third quarter, and the wind has been a factor throughout this game. But McCagg doesn't get a good kick away. He bounces it out of bounds at the Hamilton 45-yard line. Well, that, of course, is exactly what Montreal did not want. Only a 27-yard boot.
And he's kicking with the wind. You know, we talked about the kicking game, and would it become a factor? Well, Bernie Ruoff is the much better punter. As we see Joe Barnes, the 10-year veteran, sitting on the bench. He's got lots of time. He just has to be patient and get something going, though. He can't be just 2 plays and out every time.
So Ken Hobart starts with Johnny Shepard, 19, and Steve Jackson, 74, in his backfield, and this is Shepard. And Shepard picks his way neatly over the 50 to the 53-yard line before Lamont Jeffers, number 72, the fairly recent addition to that Montreal defensive alignment. The linebacker was there to bring him down, and the pickup is a healthy 8 yards for Johnny Shepard.
Well, I'm always interested to see how a young quarterback handles a lead, and especially in a playoff game with 18 points in favor of Ken Hobart. We'll see if he plays it close to the vest or decides to put that football up.
And 2nd and 3, he threw it behind Rufus Crawford, who was the intended receiver, I presume, or Steve Stapler, who was out there as well.
Ken Hobart coming over to have a talk. Obviously, somebody did the wrong thing. He's talking to Rufus Crawford, and Rufus has missed so many games with that knee injury. Probably every once in a while, he's going to get his signals crossed with his quarterback.
Hobart has thrown 3 touchdown passes in this ball game. The CFL playoff record is 5. Jointly held by Ronnie Lancaster, Tony Cursillo, and Bernie Filoni. Cursillo and Filoni both with Hamilton, of course. Harry Skipper appears to have drawn Hamilton into that no-yard situation. And we'll find out what the penalty is when we come back. It's 29-11. Hamilton leads Montreal. We'll return in a moment. Montreal Concordes know what their task is. They've got to score some points, and they've got to do it as quickly as they can. As Tabby the Tiger tries to get this big crowd here at Ivor Wynne Stadium cranked up again. The Ticats lead at 29-11. They jumped on Montreal 22-0 before the Concordes got on the board. They led it at one time 29-3. It's now 29-11, and it could have been 29-18. But the pass in the end zone was intercepted by Paul Bennett, and this time the pass for Jeff Patterson goes off his fingertips.
Well, he made the right read and threw to the right receiver. Unfortunately, Joe Barnes couldn't hook up with Jeff Patterson. You know, it's interesting, Pat. Neither Jeff Patterson or Dwight Edwards, both wide receivers for the Concordes, have had a reception in this ball game. Kind of been the story of the year for them.
It's 2nd and 10, Montreal from their 35-yard line. And who do you think is there to greet Mr. Barnes? Why, none other than Grover Covington, who's having a career number of sacks in this one game alone. That is his 4th quarterback sack.
Well, he's been a real thorn in the side of the Concordes this afternoon. There he just blows in and not able to pick him up. A free shot on Joe Barnes. Not Joe's fault at all. And boy, has Joe Barnes had a tough year. Quarterback sacks. Had a miserable year when he played for Calgary, getting sacked, and now a rough day today.
This is Wayne Lee, who bobbles it at the 50-yard line. And there's a lot of running to get to about the 52. But, you know, the Ticats really look like they have got this thing completely under control. They look like they're going to do whatever they want defensively. And offensively, of course, they move the ball up and down the field. Bill?
Just a reminder of how important it's going to be for the Carling of T-Sports Game Stars at the Grey Cup, because in the 85 Grey Cup at Montreal next Sunday, the Game Stars will each receive 1 pound of gold presented by Kodak, makers of the new 8mm Kodavision video systems featuring the portable all-in-one camera and recorder from Kodak. A pound of gold.
$5,200 US is what that amounts to. Ken Hobart's pass is caught by Johnny Shepard. And Shepard gets very close to midfield. He'll have a pickup of only 3 yards. But Hobart did a good job to get it away to him. Miles Darling was there to make the stop. Number 36 along with Paul Gray, number 42, the middle linebacker. Al Bruno, well, he knows that he's got a comfortable lead right now. And he said, I hope we get to the Grey Cup game because I think we can surprise some people. This is a much better team this year than they were 1 season ago when they were blown out by Winnipeg. Flag is down. Hobart's pass is ruled incomplete. Caught on the sideline by Ron Ingram, number 75, but they ruled that he was out of bounds. It probably would have been in vain because the penalty is going to be against the Ticats.
Now, there's no question it is against Hamilton, and Montreal will merely decline this penalty and make Bernie Ruoff come into the football game to punt it away. They see Chuck McMahon, number 33, declining the penalty. He's really an assistant coach.
Hamilton, number 74, decline, 3rd down.
Number 74 is Steve Jackson, who's in the offensive alignment for Hamilton as their fullback, and recently injured Dave Grantham.
I was going to say Chuck McMahon, really an assistant coach with the Concordes, but pressed into duty this year in a backup capacity at both running back and slot back.
Oh, good punt by Ruoff against the wind. Harry Skipper at his 12-yard line. Nowhere to go. And so he just puts his head down, pops up the football, and it is Hamilton ball.
Now, number 51, the backup center, and the fellow who snaps on 3rd downs is Pat Brady. And he was down there to make the fumble recovery by Harry Skipper. Boy, when you're struggling and you're 18 points behind, you don't want to give up the football like that. Hamilton really in great position.
In great position to go to their 2nd straight Grey Cup game. They lead it 29-11, and we'll be back in a moment.
Everybody said Stickum was the key to my football success. But if I could touch it, I could catch it. Stickum or no Stickum. Like I was one of the first to catch on that Miller Lite is brewed right here in Canada. Light tastes great, but it tastes less filling. So if you're like me, when something great comes along, you stick to it. I mean, with it.
Light beer from Miller, now brewed in Canada. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Well, Johnny Shepard was the ball carrier, and he is cut down by Harry Skipper after, well, maybe getting back to the line of scrimmage, but it looks like he lost.
That's a tough pattern to run against his own defense because they just see that simple swing pass all the way and able to come up and react quickly to it.
Matter of fact, he lost 5 yards, so it's second down, 15 yards to go. Hobart drills it in there, and Rocky DiPietro is down to the 1-yard line. Phil Jones denies Rocky the touchdown with help from Vince Faison, but watch this one.
Well, Nick Volpe has this for you on isolation. Rocky DiPietro, nothing fancy, a hook pattern that he's caught a number of balls on already today. But, Pat, the key on that play was the young fellow, number 74, Steve Jackson, in the backfield. He recognized the blitz. He picked up John Pointer, allowed Ken Hobart that extra time to find Rocky DiPietro.
First and touchdown to go, Ticats. Hobart keeps it himself. Touchdown, Hamilton. Seventh touchdown of 1985 for Ken Hobart, the Eastern Conference Shenley Award nominee for the outstanding player in the country. And boy, what a day he's having in this, the biggest football game of his career.
Now, that's really the second time that Rocky DiPietro has set up a touchdown for someone else. The first time, Johnny Shepard on a 1-yard run. This time, Ken Hobart also on a 1-yard run. And, you know, as Hamilton has done all year, they take advantage of those turnovers.
There's a penalty marker on the point after by Bernie Ruoff. It was offside, ruled against Montreal, declined, of course. Well, the Hamilton Ticats have this one neatly tucked away, it would appear, with 9:07 left to play in the third quarter. Montreal is going to have to strike and strike quickly, or the Hamilton Ticats are going to be the Eastern Conference representative in the Grey Cup game next Sunday here on CTV. And what a matchup that will be. It'll be either the British Columbia Lions or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who meet in beautiful BC Place later this afternoon. That one's a toss-up to be sure. But Hamilton, if they go on to win this football game, are going to be a formidable opponent because they have really come on in the last 6 weeks.
Pat, you're sure right about that. And, you know, it could be the most productive weekend that Harold Ballard's had in a long time. What with his Leafs winning last night.
Yes, that doesn't happen too often, Al. You're right. Vince Faison from his 14-yard line. They give on the reverse to Harry Skipper. And he does a good job to get it over the 45 to about the 48-yard line. If somebody had got a clean block on Wayne Lee, that play again might have gone a lot further than it did. It was finally Ed Gadabecas who brought him down, along with Donovan Rose.
You see the handoff to Harry Skipper, and really, you know, you think Hamilton would be looking for some kind of play like that, but they actually did catch them off guard. You know, Pat, as I look at a team and analyze a team, I always see how they take advantage of their opportunities. And boy, Hamilton has pretty near scored on every good chance they've had this afternoon.
It's a good point, Leaf. It's first down, Montreal. Tony Johns coming out of the backfield. Well, there was an excellent block by Alan Reed that allowed him to get into the Hamilton 47-yard line. Leo Ezrins finally brought him down.
We're almost at the midway point in the third quarter. Hamilton has done a job here so far, scoring a touchdown. Montreal, it's just imperative that they move the ball down the field, and they can do it this way. He picks up about 15 yards on that play, and that's what they're going to have.
Pass is caught by Jeff Patterson, and on him right away was the cornerback, Donovan Rose. At the 40-yard line, it'll be a pickup of about 6.5 yards. Bill?
There's been a lot of talk this year about changes in personnel on teams. One man who has changed very, very little is Al Bruno, and he thinks this is one of the reasons they've improved so much. He says, we improve the more we play together, and the reason he explains is this. He said, when you play beside a man long enough, you try to play as well as the man next to you. And he says, as a result, everybody upgrades their performance.
Alan Reed, and Reed has the Montreal first down to the 35-yard line. Leon Lescavich, number 64, along with Ben Zambiasi, 31, the middle linebacker, were there to bring him down. Gary Durchik knows that if his club doesn't score a touchdown in this series of plays, he can forget this one. They've got 7 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in the third quarter. They trail by 25 points.
Well, Pat, they have to score because what they've been doing on this drive is really eating up that clock with running the football and nobody getting out of bounds.
And again, Joe Barnes is sacked, this time by Leon Lescavage, number 64.
Well, the 9-year veteran from University of Alberta comes up with his first sack of the ball game. And well, when you look back and you say, what were the keys of this Eastern Final, what comes to mind first is the pressure that front four of the Hamilton Tiger Cats has been able to put on Joe Barnes.
The Montreal Concordes offensive line gave up the fewest sacks in all of the CFL, only 38. Today, they've already given up 6.
And don't think that the Hamilton front four didn't think about that statistic all week long.
Barnes' pass is caught by Jeff Patterson up around the 26-yard line. He'll be very close to a first down, but he might be inches short. Howard Fields was there to make the tackle and deny him what appears to be the first down, but referee Bud Ulrich of Winnipeg says, bring those sticks out.
Well, Pat, I think you got the good peepers today because I think he's going to come up a few inches short. It won't matter, though. They're in a gambling position all the way now.
Here comes the short yardage offense into the ball game, including assistant coach Chuck McMahon. You want to dwell on what happened in the first half, but if Montreal had scored that touchdown in the dying seconds of that second quarter, rather than the end zone interception by Paul Bennett, who knows, it might have been a totally different football game. Johns was the ball carrier, and he did leap high in the air and appears to have got it. If they spot it at the 25, it is a first down. So indicated by Bud Ulrich. Five minutes, 42 seconds left to play in the third quarter. The winner goes on to next Sunday's Grey Cup game, and we'll have it for you here on CTV. We've got all the pregame festivities for you, so you won't miss a thing as long as you're watching CTV. Barnes over the head of Mike McTagg.
Well, the Concordes started this drive with a little over 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter. They're down close to the 5-minute mark, so even though they have put together a pretty good drive, they've taken nearly 3 minutes off the clock, and even though it's only the third quarter, time isn't against them.
So it's 2nd and 10, the ball at the 25. Barnes going to Dwight Edwards, but he never could pick up the ball. He was turning every which way. Les Brown was defending on him. He was not the primary receiver by any means, but there was good coverage by Hamilton. And then when Joe was trying to make up something, he spotted Dwight Edwards. He also had Alan Reed out there, but he knew that Reed wouldn't have enough to get the ball into the end zone, and that's what he wanted.
Well, you know, this is truly a tremendous defense Hamilton's put together. Excellent front four and linebackers, and that secondary, second in the CFL this year in total yardage given up. So these guys can play man-to-man zone. It's a good, solid group.
Montreal will go for a 33-yard field goal by Roy Kurtz, and it's good.
And I'm sure Hamilton's happy to give up just 3 points on that drive.
4:35 left to play in the third quarter. Hamilton 36, Montreal 14. We'll be back in a moment. Team ball game, but the Ticats have it well in control as they start from their 35. Steve Jackson taking that reception from Ken Hobart, swinging out of the backfield, and he gets the ball over the 40 to the 43. Paul Gray, number 42, and George Smith, number 61, the defensive end, were there to bring him down.
Oh, here's a guy you got to like. Steve Jackson in his second year from Guelph, filling in for the injured Dave Graffey. He's 6'4", 230 pounds, primarily a blocking back, and he's really done a good job this afternoon allowing Ken Hobart the time to throw that football.
And the ball carrier this time, again, is Steve Jackson, but I don't think that he picked up that first down. The placement of the ball will be all important.
Well, he's originally a slot back, but they beefed him up. It's a tight end, actually, at Guelph, but they beefed him up now to be a backup fullback, and now in the Eastern Final getting his chance to start.
Well, on third down and less than a yard to go, Bernie Ruoff and the punting unit is out there. There's no question that they are short. And I think that Al Bruno is very wise to kick this ball away. I mean, why give Montreal a free shot at it from the 44-yard line if you turn it over?
Well, you know, if he had a suspect defense, I think maybe he'd think twice. But, you know, when you've got the kind of group that he has, you know, he'll say, give up the football. I got a good defense. Try and score on us.
Third and a full yard to go, so Bernie Ruoff stands back at his 30 to punt.
I laughed at Al Bruno yesterday when someone said, have you made any changes on defense? He said, what, do you think I'm crazy?
And what a boot by Ruoff. Chases Skipper back to his 20. Bernie's going to have to make the play. Skipper's going to go all the way for the touchdown, and there are no flags. A 91-yard return by Harry Skipper. And don't go away, because this is the Canadian Football League, and a lot stranger things have happened.
Excellent blocks and an excellent cutback right there. He makes a nice move to get by Bernie Ruoff, and I can't see who it was, but
Jacques Chapdelaine.
Yeah, Jacques Chapdelaine did the job on Rocky DiPietro, and boy, oh boy, 91 yards, Harry Skipper. Gosh, can he make the big plays on special teams? I think we saw him take a punt all the way earlier in the season for a touchdown. And boy, if you're going to try and turn a game around or get your team back in it, there's no easier way than to do it on the special teams.
And now the Ticats have also suffered an injury as Steve Jackson, number 74, is down on the field. And if he was not able to go, Randy Rabansky, a Canadian from Sir Wilfrid Laurier University, who was formerly with the Toronto Argonauts, would have to come in and play that fullback spot. But it's 36-20 with the point after to come. And would this not be something? I mean, it was 29-3 at one time for the Ticats, and from that point on, they have been able to capitalize on one turnover that Montreal gave them inside the 15-yard line. They're going to go for 2 points here. And into the end zone for Iraqi, but he cannot get to the football.
Boy, they've had great difficulty when they've been down around that goal line area and connecting on their passes. That interception by Paul Bennett, and now Joe Barnes not able to connect with Nick Iraqi deep in the end zone. There you see it, Mark Streeter providing the coverage, double coverage. You saw Leo Ezrins running with him, and that's been the strategy all day defensively for Hamilton. Well, I think maybe if you could pick up on our field level, Mike, Gary Dirchik was saying Hamilton had 13 people out on the field defending there.
That's pretty good defense.
I'd say it's great if you can get away with it. Maybe that's why they double covered Nick.
Maybe that's why they played so well the last 6 games of the season.
Nah, they haven't done it every game.
Okay.
They save it for the playoffs.
It's 36-20. Hamilton leading it with 3:19 left. They led it 29-3 at one point. Okay, let's have a poll right now. Do you say they kick it deep or they go to the onside?
Oh, you got to kick it deep. We're still in the third quarter.
Absolutely. Ham them in down there.
I can't believe you even said that.
Well, I wanted to get something going here because you seem to be going to sleep on me a little.
This game is far from over, gentlemen.
All right, there's a comment for you.
Well,
hey, Bill, way to go out on a limb.
Let me tell you this. A lot of people might think that the game is over, and I know you'll be talking that it isn't, but in the CFL, you can go to the last 5 minutes and make up 2 touchdowns.
Rufus Crawford runs into a wall at the 29-yard line, and that's where the Hamilton Ticats are going to put it into play. Bill?
Well, Pat, if you want to find out about exciting finishes and you want to find out about things such as who is the top interception man in the playoffs, who holds the record, you can get it in the facts, figures, and records. Available at the better bookstores, CFL team offices, or Right CFL. As a matter of fact, It is the perfect book to have beside you when you're watching any CFL games, and especially for the Grey Cup next Sunday in Montreal.
Well, I know it's where you get all your information, Bill.
That's right.
This is Johnny Shepard, and Shepard picks his way out over the 35 to about the 36-yard line. You know, Bill, you were saying who holds the interception record. Would that be Bud Grant with about 5 in one game?
How did you guess that?
I have my own CFL book at home.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right, and that was back in the, what was it, 1950 or something?
No, not 50. 50, well, 53, I would say. It's second down, 3 yards to go. Hamilton. Hobart throws, and Stapler makes the catch and has the first down for the Ticats at the 42-yard line with 2:15 left to play in this third quarter. Hamilton 36, Montreal 20.
I can't believe how I set you up to look good.
See, and we never discussed this. Why don't you just come out and say that I have a mind for these things?
What you have is a statistician named Bobby Layden.
All right, it's first down, Hamilton. The ball at the 42.5-yard line. Hobart fires. Over deep Pietro's head. It's picked off by Phil Jones. Excuse me, Aaron Hill, number 8. And Hill is inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. And this comes with 1:39 left in this third quarter.
Well, this is a very poorly thrown ball by Kenny Hobart. He just simply overthrew Rocky DiPietro. And Aaron Hill does a great job to come up with that interception. And strangely enough, that's his first interception of 1985. Wow, as this game changed around, it was that 91-yard punt return for a touchdown by Harry Skipper. The defense has done their job.
Barnes trying to set up the screen to Tony Johns, but it was read well by Leo Ezrins, and he simply disrupted the entire flow.
Well, there's Aaron Hill, his first interception, as I mentioned, on the season. Couldn't have come at a much more opportunistic time than that.
Aaron Hill from Lamar University has given Montreal an opportunity to come back even further than they have. It's second down, 9 yards to go. From their 38, from the Hamilton 38. Flag is down. Barnes' pass was intended for Jeff Patterson, but broken up by Donovan Rose. Holding is the call against Montreal.
Yeah, but still, you know, that's a big play by Donovan Rose, because now they can afford to decline that penalty. Rather, had Patterson made the catch, they would have had to take the penalty and move them back.
Just wait and see now if they decide to push them back, because right now, if I was Montreal, I'd go for a Roy Kurtz field goal. It had moved them to within 2 converted touchdowns.
Well, obviously Al Bruno agrees with you and says, I'm not going to give them that chance. Let's make them go back in 2nd and 20. Well, we can't. But Ulrich's mic isn't working, but I'm sure it was number 60, the left tackle, Blake Nell. As soon as Grover Covington got past him, the flag flew out of the pocket.
And as football fans know, we call you the spy, because you can always detect those things. Second down, 20 yards to go. The pass down the middle. What a catch by Jeff Patterson. Patterson is to the 31-yard line. Barnes was really decked. Donovan Rose was on the tackle, but what a catch by Patterson.
Oh, but Joe Barnes is really hurt. He's tried to get up, and he went back down, but watch as he steps up. He just gets drilled. No way to protect yourself. That's Rod Skillman, number 59, who nailed him. But Jeff Patterson made a great catch and got them close enough for a decent third down gamble now. But, you know, that's tough, because you've got a third down gamble coming up when you've got about 4 yards to go to pick up the first down. That's a great catch by Jeff Patterson. But now you have to bring in your backup quarterback to try and convert that third down. I don't know if it's going to be Jerry to tell you, oh, well, maybe they'll bring Roy Kurtz out and just go for the field goal.
See, I'd be inclined to go for the field goal myself. I noticed that Detilio is coming out. I don't see Kurtz on the field. Looks like now Kurtz is now going to come out. Yeah, I think this is a good call, because let's face it, pick up the 3 points. Don't come out of there with nothing. And if he can connect, there'll be only 13 back. Bill?
Well, I think they're going to
I'd like to talk about the Grey Cup because Saturday the 23rd, it'll be the Grey Cup parade on CTV, followed by Grey Cup replay. Pat and Leaf always do a great job of this, and you'll be able to see the replay of last year's Grey Cup game in Edmonton. Then on Sunday, the pregame show. Now that's live, direct, right from the stadium. You see it as it happens, and it's followed by the game itself, the big Grey Cup game, next Sunday, all on CTV from Montreal.
Thank you, Bill. On third down, Roy Kurtz's 39-yard field goal is good.
That's a very important field goal as well, because now they don't have to worry about going for two-point converts if they're able to score some touchdowns.
This has turned into quite a football game. It really has. I mean, it was 29-3 Hamilton at one point. It is now 36-23. They've still got a long way to come, but they've got a full quarter to do so.
And Pat, I'll tell you, the emotion on the Montreal bench now is just electric. They had to score, I think, on that drive in any form, just to keep the drive alive. Now, they're talking comeback, and believe me, they're serious.
You saw a quick flash of Joe Barnes on the bench, and it looks as though he's going to be all right.
Yeah, he's okay.
Good.
Hobart swings it out to Jackson, and Jackson is upended immediately by Aaron Hill. Boy, Hill was going to make sure that he didn't go any further, and he nailed him for a loss of about 3 yards. As the third quarter comes to an end, it is Hamilton 36, Montreal 23. We've got a long way to go. We'll be back with the fourth quarter in a moment. It is 2nd and 15. Hamilton the ball back at their 31. The pass is caught by Rocky DiPietro, who really has been outstanding in this football game. And what a big reception that is. The ball was right on the money by Ken Hobart up to the 50-yard line. And that will keep Hamilton in possession. And that's what they want to do right now. Hang on to the football. They lead it by 13, but Montreal has really been coming on.
Well, Rocky's too good a receiver to let him have the freedom to roam through those zones and find the open area. He'll kill you every time with it.
Now in this fourth quarter, Hamilton goes with the wind at their back. And Hobart is going deep, looking for Ingram, and he can't catch up to the football. It was a foot race between Harry Skipper and Ron Ingram, but the ball was overthrown. Here's a look at our three-quarter Chevrolet statistical story. Hamilton has 310 yards, Montreal 185. But look at that. Strangely enough, Montreal has 17 first downs. The Ticats only 12. You know, a statistic that doesn't show up there, though, is quarterback sacks. And the Ticats have 6 of those.
Well, you know, this is really a tough position for a young quarterback like Ken Hobart. He's into the fourth quarter now. He's got a 13-point lead, and it can be a little scary about how to try and operate your offense. You've got 2nd and 10. Do I want to put it up? I had a ball picked off by Aaron Hill. This is the time he wants to rely on head coach Al Bruno to maybe make some of the decisions for him and call some of the plays.
DiPietro has caught 7 passes this afternoon for 161 yards. Boy, the heat was there, and Hobart had no choice but to deliver the football into the middle where he knew DiPietro would be coming, but he had to throw it so soon that DiPietro didn't have a chance to get there.
And very timely for the Concordes to come with that blitz. They've got to try and put some pressure on Ken Hobart. Here comes 47, John Pointer. He doesn't get to Hobart, but he forces him to throw the ball short.
Now, Bernie Ruoff has been one of the outstanding kickers in CFL history. He has the wind at his back, and what he wants to do now is pin Montreal deep. Good punt. Skipper said, well, I'll just go right up the sidelines if I can. He gets to the 24-yard line, and that's it. Penalty marker has come down.
Well, Pat Brady and one of the Montreal Concordes players got into a little shoving match on the sidelines, and it's usually the guy that takes the last shot, and in that case it was the Montreal player. I couldn't see his number. We'll see how they call it.
It's against Hamilton. You know, it really has been an entertaining football game, though. The way that Montreal has simply refused to quit. Now they're going to pick up this roughing penalty, and it's going to move the ball out to the 34-yard line.
Well, it's objectionable conduct. And once again, Bud Ulrich's mic is not working, so we can't tell you who it was against. But, you know, Pat, you and I always get cranked up for playoff games, and you always hope it's going to be a good game. Certainly haven't been disappointed this afternoon.
Now let's see what the wily old veteran Joe Barnes can pull out of his bag of tricks here. It is first down. He runs the draw to Alan Reed, and Reed runs right into Greg Gary. Boy, that was a big play by Greg Gary, because if he doesn't make the tackle, Reed's going to pick up 20 yards minimum.
Well, in all fairness to his blockers, I think Alan Reed made the wrong cut here. Trevor Bowles had position on Greg Gary, and had Alan Reed taken the cut inside, he might have been able to go a lot further.
So he manages only a yard. It is 2nd and 9. Reloads, gets the pass off, and will have the first down as Jeff Patterson makes the reception for Montreal out over the 45-yard line. Donovan Rose, number 26, was there to make the stop. And for Jeff Patterson, that's his 4th reception of the afternoon.
Well, you know, Pat, things become so critical now. You're in the 4th quarter, you're behind. You've got to make those plays on big plays on 2nd down. That time, Jeff Patterson hung on to the football.
This is Alan Reed, and Reed puts his head down and reaches very close to the 50-yard line. Leon Lescavage, number 64, was there to make the stop along with Ben Zambiazzi, 31. They will spot it actually at the 49-yard line, so it'll be a pickup of only about 3 yards, make it 2nd and 7. Throws. Jeff Patterson makes the catch and has the first down at the Hamilton 44-yard line. This is so reminiscent of times that we saw Joe Barnes when he was with the Toronto Argonauts, and it reminds me very much of the Grey Cup game when they played the BC Lions.
Half number 2, Patrick. Yep. That's when he took over and did it.
A 17-yard pickup on the pass from Joe Barnes to Jeff Patterson. Montreal has not won a game at Ivor Wynne Stadium in 5 years, and they've got a long way to come back here. Barnes floats it up, and Patterson made a sensational catch inside the 20 to the 17-yard line. He went up and one-handed that ball for just a sensational play.
Oh, he just makes a fabulous catch. A guy that has not been used much in 1985 simply goes out and out-jumps Donovan Rose for that ball. A one-hander, and boy, as I said before, you get it this time in the game, your guys they have to come up with a crucial play. So far, the Concordes are doing it.
His 3rd year with the Concordes, but that's the biggest catch he's ever made. It is first down at the 18-yard line. Barnes drills that one again, looking for Patterson, but the ball was over his head.
Well, what I like about Joe Barnes, when you've got a guy that looks like he's getting hot, just keep going back to him time and time again, and he tries to hit Jeff Patterson on the post pattern ball, just a little overthrown. In this entire drive, though, Joe Barnes has been faced with 2nd and long pretty near every time, and once again now, 2nd and 10 for him.
Patterson is out, Chapdelaine is in. Barnes now scrambling for his life. Throws to Nikaraki, but it is very nearly picked off. Les Brown thought that he was going to have the interception, but Montreal did a good job to make sure that the ball was jarred loose from him.
Jacques Chapdelaine initially tried to strip Les Brown of the football, and then it was Nikaraki that drilled him to the turf and made him cough it up. But when you see the ball up like that, your receivers turn into defensive backs. Nikaraki did a great job.
You know, Gary Durchik really is impressing me. Now, a lot of coaches would say, we got to go for the touchdown. Again, they're going to line up at least in a field goal formation. And this try would come from the 24-yard line. And if Roy Kurtz is good once again, the lead would be down to 10. And it is good. Hamilton 36, Montreal 26, 9:48 left to play in the 4th quarter. We'll be back. Gary Durchik and his Montreal Concordes still have a lot to overcome. But consider this, the score was 29-3 at one time for Hamilton. It is now Ticats 36, Montreal 26, with an awful lot of time left on the clock. 9:48. There's Ken Hobart, and here's Bill Stevenson.
You know, one of the things that's really improved this year, in fact, the past few years, gentlemen, and I know you'll agree with me, is the quality of trainers. Ray Jones, the trainer of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who went to Paul Bennett. I said, how's that bad leg? He said, there's the magician, and he pointed to the trainer.
Well, here's the guy that's doing some magic right now, too, Johnny Shepard, who picks up the first down for Hamilton on a big play as he gets it to the 47-yard line before John Pointer, number 47, and Phil Jones, number 6, combined to bring him down.
A good call. Front four of the Concordes coming hard, and a draw play can be very effective in that kind of situation.
Ticats would like to string together a few first downs, keep the ball away from Montreal. And Hobart very alertly slides down as he gets very close to midfield. He knew if he stood up, he was going to get really popped. So he went down and picks up very close to 8 yards.
And what they have done exceptionally well in the second half when they've been trying to move that football is get good production on first down. 8 yards on this run by Ken Hobart, but all throughout the third quarter, all they saw every time on second down was 2nd and 2 or 2nd and 3.
Ball is right at midfield. It's 2nd down, 2 yards to go. They give us to Shepard, and he just explodes through there inside the 50 to the 49-yard line. And he needed 2, he got 6.
Well, Johnny Shepard picks up that first down, but you know, when they had that big lead at the end of the first half, it made their decision so much easier to take the wind in the fourth quarter. Now they're just a few yards away from a potential Bernie Ruoff field goal.
Ball is spotted right at the 50-yard line. It is first down, Hamilton. Hobart with time really drills it in there to Rufus Crawford for another first down. Paul Gray was there to make the tackle. That Hobart is saying, okay, you want to see if I can respond to the challenge? Let me show you. He's marched the club from their own 35 all the way down to the Montreal 38.
Well, Paul Gray gets caught reading the quarterback instead of trying to stay with his man, Rufus Crawford, and he makes the easy catch. And what a game he's had. Got them off to such a great start.
First down, Ticats at the Montreal 38. Hobart going deep to a wide open Steve Stapler touchdown. Boy, was that one easy. He faked once in the middle, and then he went, and nobody was within 15 yards of Steve Stapler. 38 yards, the touchdown pass, the 4th one of the ball game from Ken Hobart. This one to Stapler.
He did a great job of looking off number 8, Aaron Hill. He was supposed to pick up Steve Stapler deep, but Hobart kept looking down the middle, and then all of a sudden looked outside the Stapler. His 2nd touchdown of the game, and you know, for a guy who's only caught 42 passes in the entire 1985 season, he has 11 touchdowns.
Bernie Ruoff's point after, as usual, is good. And now with 7:27 left to play in the ball game. It is Hamilton 43, Montreal 26. We'll be back with the Ticat kickoff. Conference have to be aware that Ken Hobart and that offense can put some points on the board as well.
Well, I don't think anybody would have expected before this game started that Hamilton would be able to score 43 points against this pretty tough Montreal Concordes defense, but it's been entirely on the strength of Ken Hobart. His arm, passing arm, a 48% passer who's had just a fabulous day.
21 of 28 for 4 touchdowns today. And Grover Covington is there. That is number 5, his 5th quarterback sack of the afternoon. What a game, what a season. Really, what a career with Hamilton.
Well, Pat, you and I vote today for the outstanding offensive and defensive players of the game, and I'll tell you right now, there's my pick right there on defense.
I second the motion.
He's had himself some kind of ball game.
The loss was 7 yards. It's 2nd down, 17 to go, Montreal. And Joe Barnes is dropped back at the 15-yard line. That'll be another quarterback sack for Leon Wiscavage, number 64. His 2nd of the ball game. Well, there's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter what happens from here till the end. The Hamilton Ticats are going to the Grey Cup again, and they are full value for it. Boy, they took a lot of criticism, and I don't mind saying that I didn't think they'd win 3 games this year. I thought they had a pretty good defense, but they had absolutely no offense until a fellow by the name of Ken Hobart landed on the scene.
You know, usually breaks determine the outcome of football games, but today it was just apparent from the initial kickoff that Hamilton was ready to play it. Boy, the way they took that opening drive down the field and scored on their first possession just kind of indicated what kind of day they were going to have.
And Rufus Crawford, who came into the game with a bad knee, he's just playing with reckless abandon, and he gives Hamilton possession at midfield. We'll be back to see what they can do. The Ticats lead at 43-26. 5 minutes, 50 seconds left to play in the 1985 Eastern Conference season, and Hamilton is going to represent the East in the Grey Cup game. They lead this ball game 43-26 as Johnny Shepard tries to get back to the line of scrimmage, cannot do so.
Hill made the stop.
Lamont Jeffers, number 72, along with Aaron Hill, number 8, were there to make sure that Shepard didn't gain anything.
You know, Pat, in fairness to the Montreal Concordes, they got roughed up pretty good in that first quarter, but they showed a lot of spunk and fought their way back. They started to score every time they got their hands on the ball here in the second half, but that pass to Stapler was kind of the coup de grace.
Yeah, there's no question about that, Al. You're right, and they dug themselves such a big hole. It was 22-3 at the end of the first quarter for Hamilton. Hobart showing you his arm. Rack up another touchdown for Steve Stapler. Ken Hobart has just tied an all-time Canadian Football League record with his 5th touchdown pass of the ball game. And yes, these Ticats are going to be a factor next Sunday. When you watch the Grey Cup game here on CTV, it'll be Hamilton against either BC or Winnipeg. It'll be a dandy. It doesn't matter that the Ticats only won 8 games this year. They are now a very good football club.
Boy, and whoever it's going to be, whether it's the BC Lions or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, when they look at this game film from the Eastern Final, they're going to see that they're going to have their hands full with this Hamilton club. They turned in just a super defensive performance and everything you could ask for offensively from a team.
What a sensational performance by Ken Hobart.
Yeah, you know, Steve Stapler hasn't had too shabby a day either. 3 touchdown receptions, and Rocky DiPietro some good catches.
But you know, Steve Stapler and Rocky DiPietro were here before Ken Hobart was here.
Oh, and they weren't catching too many balls.
They weren't catching too many passes.
Well, Kenny, you got a right to smile. You've had yourself a tremendous afternoon, and Al Bruno said all season long, we've got great defense. If I can only get a quarterback to get my offense going, well, he got him.
Thank the Edmonton Eskimos.
That's for sure. They brought him to the Canadian Football League, and then Hamilton traded guard Russ Francis out there for Ken Hobart.
So there was a penalty marker on the play, and Bernie Ruoff has to try the point after once again, but it's automatic with Bernie. A nice round figure for the Ticats this afternoon. Hamilton 5-0, 50, Montreal 26.
Well, I can tell the folks at home that all of us up in the booth do a little pool before the game where we try and pick the score, and I don't think anybody's going to be close today.
The fans here at Ivor Wynne, and there was a good turnout here this afternoon. Too bad there hadn't been this many all season long. But they're happy. Hamilton's in a festive mood. And I'll tell you what's good. The Ticats have shown that they are now a good football team, and it's going to make for a great Grey Cup game. And we'll have it for you here on CTV next Sunday afternoon, and we'll start at 12 o'clock noon. You'll see it all if you're watching CTV next Sunday. Dwight Edwards. And Edwards gets to the 20 to about the 22-yard line. And that's where Montreal will try to get it going again. They're not going to win this football game. They know that. 4 minutes, 54 seconds left. All they want to do is end the season on at least a positive vein. They know that Joe Barnes will be back next year, and that's going to put them in pretty good shape. But this has been a good football game at Hamilton. Boy, are they full value for the victory. Pass is caught by Jeff Patterson. He's had a fine afternoon for Montreal. He catches it out at the 33-yard line, and for Patterson, that's his 7th catch of the day.
Well, he does a good job making that reception there. He's had a good second half. Didn't catch a ball in the first half. 7 catches here in the third and fourth quarters.
Tony Johns on the draw play. And Johns fights his way for another first down over the 45 to about the 47-yard line. First down, Montreal. Barnes swings it out to Alan Reed. And they didn't really utilize Reed too much this afternoon. He's brought down there by Grover Covington after a pickup of just a couple of yards. But Reed is a young back from the University of Minnesota that I think that Montreal can utilize effectively next year. He's got good quickness. Not a very big fellow, but he certainly can run. He's 5'8", 185 pounds. Tell you one thing I don't like is Tony Johns' hands. He's blocked a few passes today, and he just doesn't look like he's comfortable catching the football.
Well, in all fairness to Tony Johns and Alan Reed and fellows like that I thought would be totally involved in the offense, their game plan went right out the window halfway through the first quarter, where they would like to play ball control with the passing game. They just found themselves behind so early in the game that I'm sure Joe Barnes and Gary Durchik had to change their plans drastically.
Well, you saw the differing expressions between Al Bruno and Gary Durchik. On third down and 8, the draw play goes to Tony Johns. Leon Lescavich wraps him up well short of the first down. And so with 2 minutes and 58 seconds left to play in the ball game, the Hamilton Ticats are going to the Grey Cup. But we'll be back to see how they wrap up this ball game in a moment. From the University of Washington is the quarterback now for the Hamilton Ticats. He comes on to replace Ken Hobart, who had such an outstanding afternoon. Hobart threw 5 touchdown passes to tie a Canadian Football League playoff record held by Tony Cursillo and Bernie Filoni of the Hamilton Ticats and by Ron Lancaster of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So Tom Porras is at the controls. He hands the ball to Shepard. And Shepard is grabbed from behind and hauled down by Brett Williams. And Williams was slightly shaken up on the play.
Well, I think Gary Durchik in time is going to make a darn good head coach. And hopefully next year he's going to have the benefit of a training camp and being the head coach at the beginning of the season to try and implement some of the things that he likes to do both on offense and defense, and I hope he gets his shot.
Well, I agree with you, and he certainly did transform the Concordes when he took over. They had won 3 straight under his guidance coming into this afternoon's ball game, but they ran into a club that seems to be one of destiny. The Ticats have really been coming on. They're a happy, contented group. At the early part of last year, there was a lot of criticism of the coaching staff. Here in 1985, all the players love the coaches. They say that they listen to their suggestions. There seems to be a democracy that is not normally prevalent in football, but it's working for the Ticats.
That's funny how time is the great healer, because last year they were fighting with everybody. And coaches hated the players hated the coaches, and now they're one big happy family, and they're going to go to the Grey Cup for the 2nd year in a row. Oh, what a great weekend it's going to be next weekend in Montreal. We've got the Grey Cup parade. We've got the replay on Saturday, and then, of course, all the pregame festivities on Sunday, and then our great Grey Cup 1985 on CTV.
Mark Stevens comes in to mop up for Montreal. His pass is picked up by Gadabekis. Ed Gadabekis, number 39, was there to make the interception for the Ticats on Mark Stevens' first pass of the ball game. Ben Zambiazzi, the Cookie Monster, number 31, he's all smiles. The Ticats are all smiles. And in a minute and 44 seconds, they are going to be crowned the Eastern Conference champions for 1985, as they were for 1984. And I give you my word on this, they'll be a much better representative of the Eastern Conference this year than they were last.
Yeah, I think you can throw that 8-8 right out the window on the season. This is a team that's really peaked at the right time, and they're really hitting on all cylinders.
You know, they've got Rufus Crawford back, and you say, well, I mean, what difference does he make? He's shown you what difference he makes. He got them off on the right foot as a pass receiver. He also had some great punt returns today. In other words, he's the kind of a guy that will really shore up a number of areas where they could use some shoring up. Johnny Shepard appears to be 100% healthy. That's got to help them. Yes, it's going to be a great Grey Cup game. But will it be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers or the British Columbia Lions? We'll know that a little later on this afternoon. And whoever comes out of the West, they, of course, are going to be favored. But don't take it for granted, because the Hamilton Ticats are going to provide some opposition.
And they finally got the missing ingredient that they lacked throughout the early part of the season, and that's the guy at the quarterbacking spot. And, well, what a job Ken Hobart did this afternoon.
Shepard was really hit as he reached for the 10-yard line on third down. He didn't make it. So Montreal will take over with just 55 seconds left on the clock. It is Hamilton 50, Montreal 26 in what was a very entertaining football game. The Concordes just refused to quit. They fell behind 29-3, but then they came back to make it a ball game at 36-26. And then Hamilton got the win in the fourth quarter and blew them away. The owner of the ball club, Harold Ballard, we saw him prior to the ball game. He was quite confident. And I guess he was justified in being so. Mark Stevens, the Montreal quarterback, gets out over the 15 to about the 16-yard line for a pickup of about 5 yards. And now the scoreboard flashes. Good luck, Tiger Cats. Bring home the cup. They tell you, you look at that defensive unit of the Hamilton Ticats, and you know they've got some guys who can play. Let's just run through that front four for you. Grover Covington, Leon Lescavage is now in there at defensive tackle, number 64. Mitchell Price, 65. Rod Skillman, 59. That front four is very good. The linebacking with Ben Zambiazzi in the middle, flanked by Leo Esrins and Greg Gary, is solid. And that defensive secondary set a new CFL record for interceptions. That's Les Brown, Mark Streeter, Paul Bennett, Howard Fields, and Donovan Rose. So defensively, the Ticats are solid. And when you score 50 points offensively, you've got to know you've got something going there, too.
Well, 28 seconds away from back-to-back Grey Cup appearances for the Ticats. In fact, when you talk defense, that front four is so good at putting pressure on the passer. They don't have to gamble a lot. They don't have to take a lot of chances. All they do is play good, solid, basic defense, but they play it so well.
Montreal will retain possession of the football, barring an interception for the remainder of this game. Stevens is sacked, this time by number 50, Lance Thompson, who's in there as a substitution for Hamilton. How many sacks is that, Bobby Layden? 9 sacks. for that Hamilton defensive alignment.
And we told you earlier, this was the best offensive line in the Canadian Football League at 9 sacks. Tells you what kind of front four they played against today.
So that's it. The Hamilton Ticats have done it. And boy, what a display they put on for a big crowd here at Ivor, Wynne, and for the folks across the country. Hamilton 50, Montreal 26. The Ticats back-to-back Eastern Conference championships, and they are a good football team, as we have been pointing out throughout the course of this afternoon. They're going to make it interesting when you watch the Grey Cup here on CTV next Sunday afternoon. Al Bruno, you have reason to feel good, my friend, because he was confident coming into the game. He said we have the best team in the conference, so we should win, and they proved it today. No question about that. The Ticats are delirious. The Concordes have to be disappointed, but Leaf, they have no reason to hang their head, because despite a disastrous first quarter, they came back to make it a football game.
Well, they did, and they really had a poor second half of the season. It's not surprising Hamilton was able to dominate. Let's go down to Bill Stevenson.
The happiest man in the ballpark has to be Al Bruno. Al, this is a club that deserves to go to the Grey Cup. Some thought last year you were just lucky.
Well, it's been a struggle, I'll tell you, Bill. We were counted out. We bounced back. Our quarterback, as you saw today, improved, and our defense just kept us in there. And I can't say enough about these kids. All I can say is they're going to Grey Cup now, second year in a row.
A much better club, though, Al.
Yeah, they are. They play like a unit. They play together. Tough defense. We moved the ball when we had to. And that's what won for us, Bill. The defense and the offense and special teams. Of course, special teams had a little trouble today, though, but I will take that win.
You always knew that you had a good defense, but Hobart made the offense go as those 50-point showed today.
Oh, it certainly did. The defense stopped them. Hobart was able to move. Shepard ran well. Rocket defensive made some clutch catches. Steve Stapler, he just spread it apart. That's what happened to him.
Al Bruno, congratulations. We'll see you at the Grey Cup in Montreal.
Good deal. We'll see you there.
Thank you, Al Bruno. All right, there goes Al Bruno, head coach of the Grey Cup bound Hamilton Tiger Cats. The CFL on CTV will continue in a moment.
The Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars. Offensively, quarterback Ken Hobart is the offensive star. And from the Ticats, defensive end Grover Covington is the defensive star. Each of this afternoon's outstanding players will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin presented by Kodak, makers of the new 8mm Codavision portable all-in-one camera and recorder. This is the CFL on CTV.
Now.
A CBC Sports presentation. Welcome to CFL 85 on CBC. The best of Canadian professional football. Presented by Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you. By Ford of Canada, where quality is more than a commitment, quality is job one. Petro-Canada, dealers and agents across Canada. Our energy is Canada. And now, for all the action, let's join our CBC Sports crew.
In the distance, BC Place on the Falls Creek area of downtown Vancouver. Since its completion in June of 1983, this magnificent facility has been the site of many exciting CFL games and the Grey Cup. This afternoon, the top two teams in the West meet to decide the Western representative for the Grey Cup. The winner will head east to Montreal's Olympic Stadium 1 week from today to do battle with the Eastern Conference champion Hamilton Tiger Cats. The defending Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers, led by quarterback Tom Clements, have won 3 in a row under the dome. The BC Lions this year had the CFL's best record, 13 wins and 3 losses. 2 of those losses to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a home-and-home series back in October. So the stage is set for what is rapidly turning into a CFL West tradition. For the 3rd year in a row, British Columbia and Winnipeg in the final. Across the inlet, close to 60,000 fans are anxiously awaiting the start of what everyone expects will be one of the best played and most entertaining CFL games of the season. Working with me today, as usual, a man who made his mark as a coach and a man who made the Hall of Fame as a player.
You know, Ron, as the fans can observe, BC Place is jammed to the rafters today, and I think crowd noise is going to be a factor.
Well, Leo, I'm a believer in this. Two good football teams and probably a great football game, the Western Final. You need it noisy, and what better place to have it than right here?
Oh, that's for sure. And you know, the question on everyone's mind is, can the Lions win without the services of wide receiver Merv Fernandez? You know, back in 1983, they beat the Bombers and deserved the right to go against the Toronto Argonauts. The Argonauts hadn't won the Grey Cup in 31 years, but won that one. But in 1984 was a different year, Ron.
Well, it sure was. The Lions had everything going for them in '83, but they come right back out to the Dome for the 1984 Western Final. Only this time, Tom Clements and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers got things going on their way, and in a big offensive performance, they went on and defeated the BC Lions 31-14, and they win the Grey Cup. So I think we're all set for probably one of the biggest games over the years, the Western Final. Joining us today again, Steve Armitage down on the sidelines, and if the noise isn't too bad, he's got a lot of things to say. What do you got down there, Steve?
Ron, one of the big stories last week in the Eastern semifinal was the weather in Montreal. I guarantee you one thing. Under the dome here at BC Place Stadium, the weather will not be a factor. But the noise level could be. You know, the Ottawa Rough Riders discovered that 3 weeks ago, and Cal Murphy, when they lost here 2 years ago, was very, very critical of the noise level. And with 60,000 fans in attendance, it could very, very well be a factor here this afternoon. Right now, let's meet the players for the CFL's Western Final. Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the starting defense for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Wearing number 75, starting nose tackle, Stan Mikowas. Wearing number 55, starting at right defensive end, Tony Norman. Wearing number 60, starting left defensive end, Hassan Abubakar. Wearing number 35, starting linebacker, Tyrone Jones. Wearing number 69, starting at linebacker, Gary Moulton. Wearing number 76, starting at linebacker, Darrell Patterson. Wearing number 58, starting at linebacker, James West. Wearing number 23, starting at left cornerback, Roy Bennett. Wearing number 36, starting at right cornerback, David Shaw. Wearing number 28, starting at right halfback, Wiley Turner. Wearing number 24, starting at left halfback, Ken Haley. Wearing number 14, starting at safety, Scott Flagel. Interim head coach, Fred Glick, and the rest of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Aren't exactly greeted warmly by the 60,000 here at the stadium at BC Place, but rest assured the British Columbia Lions will be. And now, let's meet the starting offensive lineup for the British Columbia Lions. Starting at center, wearing number 52, Al Wilson. Starting at guard, wearing number 65, Gerald Roper. guard, wearing number 54, Glenn Leonard. Starting at tackle, wearing number 68, John Blaine. Starting at tackle, wearing number 61, Brian Illebrun. Starting at slot back, wearing number 21, John Pankratz. Starting at slot back, wearing number 16, Ron Robinson. Starting at wide receiver, wearing number 3, Jim Sandusky. Starting at wide receiver, wearing number 8, Ned Armour. Starting at running back, wearing number 20, John Henry White. Starting at running back, wearing number 14, Freddie Sims. Quarterback, wearing number 9, Roy DeLoach. Head coach John Matthews and the rest of the BC Lions.
Well, Ron, as we've talked about all year, quarterbacks have to come up big in a big game like this. And Roy DeWalt especially has to come up big today. His leading receiver, Fernandez, is out of there. It might be a blessing in disguise because he'll go to his other receivers a lot more, and Winnipeg won't know exactly where he's going to throw that football. But it's also important that he uses his running backs. Keep the ball away from Winnipeg. Don't let them have the football. Throw screen passes, rollouts, do what you have to do to get away from the rush. Anything you can do to keep the ball away from Winnipeg and move that football down the field. Now, on the other side of the line of scrimmage, defense is important. The front four are going to have to carry that load again today. And all 3 of those 4 guys that made the All-Star team, Nick Hebler is the only guy that hasn't made it, Ron. He's going to make the selectors wish they picked him.
Well, if the BC Lions are going to win today, they better control the front 7 of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and in particular that set of linebackers. That is the key to the Winnipeg defense. And on that defensive linebacker front, they've got a one-man wrecking crew in Tyrone Jones, who's the Shenley nominee this year for the Defensive Player of the Year. He said it all the other night at the dinner when he just goes out and knocks people down and intimidates them. The other inside linebacker, Darrell Patterson, has 2 interceptions this year. One of them was on the goal line against the BC Lions right here under the dome that helped them win. And when you talk about offense, the man that's got to do the job is Tom Clements. He plays at such a high level all the time that people expect him to be unbeatable. Today he's going to have to be unbeatable because he's facing an awful good football team. Well, we're going to get another guy for the Grey Cup finalists next week in Montreal. Let's go back to Brian Williams and see some highlights of today's Eastern Final.
Thank you, Ron. Good afternoon, everyone. Western Final coming right up. Here are those highlights, Ron. I know Hamilton was only 8-8 over the regular season. Look out for the Ticats next Sunday because this afternoon they destroyed Montreal by a score of 50-26. The story in the game, number 4, Ken Hobart, touchdown. Canadian veteran Rocky DiPietro, Hamilton's opening drive. It was 7-0, still in the first quarter. Here again, Hobart, touchdown to Ingram, 32-yarder. Hobart completed the first 10 passes of the game for 230 yards. He threw for a playoff record 5 touchdown passes. Here's Joe Barnes in the second quarter to Nick Araki for a Montreal touchdown. The Concord, though, were really never in it. The day belonged to the Ticats. They're going to be very tough 1 week from today. And, of course, 1 week from today, CBC, the place to be for Grey Cup 85. Coming up at halftime, we'll talk with Al Bruno, the Hamilton head coach, full of all the highlights. Stay with us, folks, because the opening kickoff is up next to the Western Final as CFL 85 continues.
Blue Bombers mainly working on the special teams. That kickoff return of 16 yards.
Well, as we said in the opening, Clements is expected to play so high in efficiency every game that I think people just don't realize the year that he had this year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We know they got a great set of receivers. Jeff Boyd got 76 on the year. That's great. Offensive line, Nicholas Stiles, the anchor up there. Shenley nominee, and what a good bunch.
Well, the fans reacting early with that noise, trying to throw off the Bombers. There's the pitch on the reverse to James Murphy. What a call to start a ball game, and if the Winnipeg Blue Bombers attempted to silence the crowd, plays like that will definitely do it. Keith Gooch making the tackle, not before they got 22 yards.
Well, I like their style. That's a good way to start this thing right now.
Well, what you want to see, watch this man, John Funk, will pull and make the block to the outside, and that's the key. There he goes, number 43, pulls with a man on his head, which is very unusual. And what a job, look at the alley for James Murphy.
Winnipeg first and 10 at their own 46-yard line. Clements to the sideline. Boyd makes the catch, and he goes out of bounds with a gain of 7 yards, forced out by Keith Gooch.
As we mentioned before, the front four are going to have to carry the load. Nick Hepler, a very proud guy, the only one that didn't make the Western All-Stars. He'll be really out there today. They've got a veteran core of linebackers, a good core. Glenn Jackson has seen a lot of battles. In that secondary, Darnell Cash, he's the guy with all this speed, but they've got an extremely experienced bunch of guys, and they're ready to play.
Penalty flag on the attempted draw play with Willard Reed. It appeared as though Richard Nemeth may have jumped offside, and feelings are running high as there is some shoving going on following the whistle. And Jake Ireland is the man in charge of the officiating crew this afternoon, and he will sort this one out and indicate the procedure call against Winnipeg.
Well, Don, one thing, the way this crowd is cheering and yelling and everything else, it brings things wet up my spine. Something up my spine. Anyhow, we'll talk just as soon as Jake gets done here. I'll finish this thing.
Winnipeg number 62, decline, third down.
Well, the penalty against Richard Nemeth was declined, and those are the men in the striped jerseys who are part of this afternoon's ball game with Jake Ireland, the referee, in charge. So Winnipeg will be punting on third down.
Don, I don't like that call one bit from this standpoint. I think when Richard Nemeth jumped outside, the referee blew a whistle because it should be stopped when that contact is made. Willard Reed made no attempt to run with that football, and yet they lost it down because they're going to rule that play to count. That's not a good way to start a game.
Well, it's not a good way for Cal Murphy to start a game sitting up in the press box. But as I was going to say before, this crowd will bring shivers to your spine. One of the things that Winnipeg can do early in this ball game to take the crowd noise away is to go on the quick count, Ron. You've done that in the past many times. You got to come up that line of scrimmage with your play called and go immediately before that crowd can take effect on you and drown out your signal calling.
Well, they now move the yardstick marker up to the 53-yard line.
What they're going to do now is give him a 5-yard penalty, and it'll be second down over, which is I agree. That's the way it should be.
Well, the initial positioning of the ball created a double penalty, actually, against Winnipeg.
Yeah, this is a lot better.
Procedure, Winnipeg number 62, second down repeated.
Now they've got it straight. They repeat the second down.
And Don, sometimes we forget in a big game like this that the officials are almost as nervous as these players out there.
Second down and 8, Winnipeg. Clements trying to set up the screen. Mike Gray got his hands up there to knock it down.
This is the one thing, Ron, that shortness at the quarterback position. When you go straight back in that pocket, they've got those big 6'4", 6'6" guys, and you've got to get that ball up in the air in order to keep it away from their hands.
So on third down, Bob Cameron with the first punt of the ball game. Darnell Clash takes it at the 14-yard line. He led the CFL in punt return yardage this year, and he is stopped at the 22 by James West after a kick of 45 yards. So the BC Lions will scrimmage for the first time when we return to the Dome. The stadium at BC Place. It's 1st and 10 for the Lions. They are at their own 23-yard line. Roy DeWalt will not, of course, have his favorite receiver, Mervyn Fernandez, to throw to. Much has been made about the absence of Fernandez. The Lions are also missing their leading running back this season, T-Van Jenkins. Freddie Sims has replaced T-Van Jenkins at that running back position. Ned Armour has taken over for Mervyn Fernandez. They attempted to throw that screen. Winnipeg recovering the ball, but it is ruled an incomplete pass.
Excellent ball. The pass was a forward pass. It was just right up on top of him. Watch it come from the inside. It's going to be widely turned. The ball's going to be thrown out there, and he's going to be the guy to force it. He's going to come right up on it.
It will be 2nd and 10, British Columbia. Ball is at the 23-yard line. No score in the ball game. We're in the first quarter. To bring his arm back in an effort to throw, the ball simply slipped away from him.
What happens in a situation like this is DeWalt goes back to throw the ball. The blitz comes in there fresh. Nobody touches the blitz. He's looking at the blitzer and forgetting about the ball in his hand. Slipped out of his hand. A touchdown. Roy DeWalt, of all people, has got to settle down his team. He's the leader out there in offense. He can't allow anything like this to happen to him early in the ball game, Don.
So Tony Norman with the touchdown puts Winnipeg on the board, and the point after will be attempted by the man who established the CFL record for points this year, Trevor Kennard, and he puts it through, and Winnipeg leads by a score of 7-0. A big defensive effort by all-star Tony Norman coming through on the blitz and grabbing that loose ball for the major score.
Well, they ran a little game. The linebacker went out. Norman came around to the inside, and he was coming wide open up the middle. No one blocked him. But the Walt just flat out lost the football. And boy, when you got the defensive guy Norman that close, it's over.
Well, don't you think on a case like that, Ron, it's a breakdown as far as your concentration is concerned? You know, you're a quarterback. You've got 60,000 people screaming and yelling out there. You, above all people, have got to have it under control. And when you go back, and just because the linebacker comes free on you, you can't afford to lose your concentration, let that ball go, especially in touchdown area.
Well, the Blue Bombers congratulate Tony Norman at the Winnipeg bench, and we offer our congratulations to Al Bruno and the Hamilton Tiger Cats for winning the Eastern Championship this afternoon, 50-26 over the Montreal Concordes, and we look forward to seeing the Ticats in next Sunday's Grey Cup game at Olympic Stadium in Montreal, and of course, you'll see it all right here on CBC television.
Boy, they paid their dues, Don. They've had a lot of criticism over the last couple of years, but they come back and they've done everything they had to do, and they didn't fluke their way into this Grey Cup, boy. They fought their way into it, and with a convincing win over Montreal.
Tyrone Jones hitting Darnell Clash on the kickoff return at the 13-yard line.
Well, that's the man we talked about in the opening, Tyrone Jones. He's the only guy in the world that volunteers for special teams, and he did the job on the special teams right there.
He walked into the coaching office before the semifinal against Edmonton and said to Cal Murphy and Fred Glick, I want to play on those special teams. So he got his wish, and he came up with a big play for Winnipeg, stopping Darnell Clash. DeWalt throwing out into the slot. It's incomplete, looking for Ned Armour. And while we have a moment, let's talk about the tremendous imposition on the BC Lions without Mervyn Fernandez in there.
Well, what can you say? I think he is, without a doubt, maybe the best receiver I've ever seen play in this league. He can do it all, and I think Cal Murphy summed it up best today when he said he not only is fast and can catch, but he can out-jump a kangaroo. So, I mean, that's a big, big compliment.
And, you know, on that last play, as Ned Armour broke out, he broke out a little deep instead of breaking out and crossing the line of scrimmage. And when he came back to the huddle, DeWalt got on his back because they just haven't worked together that much.
2nd and 10. DeWalt snuffs out of the pocket, throwing deep. He's looking for Robinson, incomplete. Robinson Jackson in a foot race there with Ken Haley. And the BC Lions are forced into a kicking situation, but DeWalt airmailed that one, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defensively also did what they wanted to do, flushed DeWalt out of the pocket.
And what impressed me when you say he let it go a long way, what he threw, he's not on the greatest throwing motion. He's a little off balance when he lets it go on the run, and boy, he threw it a long way, and it was a very great defensive play because Robinson came back to the ball well, but one hand got in there from Haley and knocked it down.
Hassan Abubakar, who is replacing John Sturdivant at the defensive end position, was the man pressuring Roy DeWalt. Third down kick by Lou Pasaglia. A good one. It faces Steele back to his own 40. And Steele is down at the 42 by Mark DeBrays. A 50-yard kick by Lou Pasaglia. Tom Clements, who has some very pleasant memories of his play here under the dome, and of course a bit of a nightmare about the 1983 playoff game where he suffered a broken collarbone in that loss to the British Columbia Lions.
Well, Tom Clements is just an excellent football player, and these kind of games are important to him as they are to every football player, but especially quarterbacks. They love it.
Willard Reeves out across the 45-yard line, a pickup of perhaps 4 yards. Steve Armitage is standing by on the sideline. Steve?
Willard Reeves brought down by Glenn Jackson and Kevin Corner. Gain of 4, second and 6, and 46.
Well, Steve, obviously we have some microphone problems. We'll try and get back to you just a little later. It is second and 6. Throwing for Boyd, complete at the 46-yard line. He caught that in front of Keith Goose, and he got that throw away just in the nick of time.
What they do is when Jerome Erdman will come down and go to the outside, that creates a hole right here, and all Boyd does is just go down, and then Clements will throw it right in there. But Erdman goes to the outside. There goes the defensive back with him, and now Jeff Boyd goes deep, curl into the hole, and come back and catch the football. And that's what you got to do.
A gain of 18. It is first and 10 Winnipeg at the BC 46. Winnipeg leads 7-0. Clements throwing to the sidelines. The catch is made by James Murphy, and he is taken out of bounds by Darnell Clash.
Don, contrasting styles. You notice Tommy Clements, he's got a healthy respect for that front four of the BC Lions, and he's not staying in that pocket. He's rolling to the outside. He's taking 2 and 3 steps, sprint passes to the outside, getting away from that rush. Contrarily, on the other side of the ball, DeWalt is going straight back, and he's getting that rush right up in his face. He's got to start moving around, too.
Well, as Tom Clements said, I don't have the size of the Roy DeWalt. I have to be mobile. I have to get out of there so I can see over some of those on-rushing defensive linemen. Draw play with Willard Reeves. He is going to be stopped short of the first down by James Parker.
Willard Reeves brought down by James Parker.
They are going to be about 1.5 yards, maybe even 2 yards short, so that prompts a decision at the Winnipeg bench to send out the field goal unit.
You know, as you said, Ronnie, Tommy Clements has come up big in almost every big game that he's ever had to play. He's had a background of big games from the time that he had his collegiate background at the University of Notre Dame. And he's just a kid that gets up for the big games.
Field goal attempt is wide. It will sail through the end zone, a single point, and Winnipeg moves in front by an 8-0 score. So Trevor Kennard misses on his first field goal attempt of the afternoon, but does come up with a single point, and will return after this message. Well, the grammar may not be particularly good, but that is certainly a fact. Covering Mervyn Fernandez has been a difficult assignment. Stopping Freddie Sims proved to be difficult for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as he picked up a first down with Wiley Turner finally bringing him down.
Well, you're going to see this. This is what I referred to before the game. They've got to use their ground attack and these running backs, and they've got to keep the ball away from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, have a little bit of success. I don't know what Roy DeWalt has to do to earn the respect of these fans, but he's had a great season and shouldn't be ashamed.
Freddie Sims again. Sims tried to get outside. He's stopped at midfield by Gary Moten. That will be a pickup of 4, make it 2nd and 6. Actually, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in their preparation for this game indicated that they were quite concerned about Freddie Sims. People were asking the Winnipeg coaching staff about preparing for Sims as opposed to Kevan Jenkins, and they have a great deal of respect for Sims.
Well, he's a little stronger. He's bigger. He's about a 200-pounder. Kevan Jenkins is light and quick, but Freddie can run over him.
2nd and 6, BC from the midfield stripe. They give it to Freddie Sims again. He'll be close to the first down. Finally stopped by Gary Moten. He bounced off a couple of would-be tacklers and fought for those additional yards.
Well, this is what Montreal needs. He needs some success on a couple first downs. And I couldn't help but notice while he was introduced and 60,000 people cheered so loudly, he almost looked like, well, I know that if I throw an interception early in the ball game, that those cheers will go to boos.
5'10", 210-pound Freddie Sims out of Oklahoma is stopped a yard short of the first down, and the British Columbia Lions send out the punting team. Many in this capacity crowd felt that the Lions should have gambled on this 3rd and 1. Glenn Steele takes it on the sidelines, and he is stopped at the 19-yard line by Bruce Barnett. A good kick by Lou Pasaglia. He was trying to angle it to the corner, and he succeeded, although the kick traveled just 37 yards. Well, over the years, Ron Lancaster certainly has some fond memories of playoff passes he threw. You may have completed a few more, Ron, had you been able to play under the dome instead of some of the inclement weather up the prairies over the years.
That's what we were talking about this morning, walking around outside. It didn't seem like a Western final without cold weather and hard ground.
There's that screen to Jeff Boyd. That's been a very effective play this season for Winnipeg. And Jeff Boyd, who ranked 2nd in touchdowns as a pass receiver behind Mervyn Fernandez, picks up 23 yards.
Watch the blocking. Joe Poplowski and Sean Kehoe make the blocks on the people that get him to the outside, and that's where Keith Gooch doesn't want him, out there. Get him back in there where you got help.
All week, the coaches of the BC Lions told us that Nick Hepler would be starting at defensive end. He has not played it out. Benny Jones is playing at that defensive end position. Hepler is not in the lineup. Darnell Clark intercepts the pass. He has a convoy down the sidelines, and he returns it to the 52. A poorly thrown ball by Clements, and Darnell Clark was in position.
What you see on it is very simple. Darnell Flash didn't bite it all on the out move. The wide receiver went down and went to the outside, and then when Darnell Flash bites, then you go deep, but Darnell Flash sat back in the zone, and look at it. He's in great position to intercept it. Good defense.
Further than Nick Hepler, we understand he may be in the coach's doghouse because word is that he's missed a practice this week. First and 10, the ball is at the 49. The gift to Freddie Sims, and he is stopped by Gary Moten. Steve Armitage, what have you got to report?
Don, I can add to the Nick Hepler story. Apparently, he was told by the coaching staff that he was going to split the duties with Benny Jones Jr. He did not like that idea, and he skipped that practice, and that's the reason he did not start this afternoon for the BC Lions.
He may not be splitting any duties at all. He may be on the bench the entire game. Sideline pattern to Sandusky, first down.
I think it's real important that the BC Lions make a couple good first downs right here. Yesterday, I noticed as the Walt goes back here to pass, and he hangs the ball in there perfectly. But yesterday, I noticed as they come out to practice, they were ready to play yesterday, a little bit too early. And they've shown that out here today, that they're a little bit too anxious. Now when they settle down, they're going to make a football game out of this.
Well, Sandusky will be forced to carry much of the load this afternoon in the absence of Fernandez. previously played in Calgary, Saskatchewan, and Montreal before coming to the BC Lions with a 38-yard touchdown pass.
I was wondering how he got so wide open. Now, all he does is do this, and when Flagel goes here, but where are the linebackers? Let's start it up. We'll show you where they go. All right, stop it. Both inside linebackers are on a blitz. Look at the opening that Ron Robinson found. No wonder he was wide open. And to walk through a string, a rope, right on the run, and Robinson got the speed, just cruises right by him. Great play by the Lions.
1st and 10, Winnipeg from the 23. The Bombers in front by a single point. Clements completing the pass to James Jerome Erdman. He got to the line of scrimmage and no further. We talked about the contribution of Mervyn Fernandez this year to the BC Lions. He caught 95 passes for 15 touchdowns. As a team, BC had 348 receptions for 33 touchdowns. So Mervyn Fernandez figured in better than a third of their passing total and in almost half of their touchdown throws. Incomplete. Clements was looking for Jeff Boyd, and he was under big pressure from James Parker.
Boy, Tommy did an excellent job of averting that rush. You'll see him go back, and as the rush comes in there, one guy comes unblocked, and he just steps up inside of that pocket and gets rid of the ball, and he's just lucky that he got rid of the ball. Now, we've known Nick Hebler over the years and the kind of a character that he is and how much he likes to play. I'd hate to be the coach over there on the sidelines trying to keep him out of this game.
By Bob Cameron. Darnell Clark takes it at his own 44-yard line, trying to get outside. What a job he has done this year on punt returns for the BC Lions.
You know, Don, you could almost see that one coming. That ball was running to the right hash mark to Darnell Clark, and you could see those orange jerseys setting up to the wide side of the field, and it looked like he had a chance. And when I think it was Sean Kehoe missed the tackle on him right here, I thought for sure it's going to be a long one. They got those orange jerseys in great position. That's been a great all year for this team.
The ball is up to Winnipeg 51. A run back of 15 yards by Darnell Clash. The handoff to Freddie Sims, and he picks up a couple of yards. Hassan Abubakar is the man who brought him down. There's Darnell Clash, who this year just missed, bettering the league record for punt return yardage.
Well, he's a good one. They put him back there by himself. And the thing is, you know, that so many kickers try to kick away from him, but he managed to get that football anyway.
Recommended to the BC Lions by an ex-member of this football club, Rocky Long. Incomplete. Scott Flagel was all over John Pancratz, and the BC Lions will be forced into a punting situation.
Well, the thing you got to notice out here is that the BC Lions have gotten over their early game jitters, and they've settled down now. With the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Don, they've been there. They've been to the big game. They've won the Grey Cup, and they didn't have that early jitter start. But right now, it looks like it's about even, and it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
Stands at his own 49-yard line. He'll try to angle this one out of bounds. It's taken by Glenn Steele. Now they're going to rule. It went out of bounds. Yes, at the 1-yard line. A 48-yard kick by Lou Pasaglia, and he nailed that one perfectly, putting it out at the 1.
Look at it. Steele knows he does a great thing. Gets in the end zone, makes the catch, but that referee is right there. That is a great kick. The referee spots it on the 1. A bad place to start. You know, I'm always a believer that first place team has a 2-week layoff, and their first quarter is going to be sluggish. The Hamilton Tiger Cats proved that all along, and then they jumped on Montreal for 21 points or so. And boy, they played a great football game. That's a great team.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are definitely up against it, starting out from their own 1 on this first down play. And James Parker is there to halt the progress of Willard Reeves at the 5. It will be 2nd and 6 Winnipeg.
Lou Pasaglia had a big article in the paper just yesterday morning showing his whole family. He's just had a pair of twins. He's got 2 children and twins now, so he's got 4 children. Quite a family. You know why he's kicking that ball. Time remaining in this opening quarter. Clemens completes the pass, and the man on the receiving end is Joe Poplawski. The nominee is the outstanding Canadian player in the West. There's a penalty flag on the play. It will be brought back. Call against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, half the distance to the goal line, will put the ball at the 2.5. I believe he said 29 as the violator, and that would be Jerome Erdman, the slot back. Defensive unit will force Winnipeg to kick it away. Willard Reeves, for the 2nd consecutive year, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League. Last year, of course, he was the Shenley Award winner as the country's outstanding player. Darnell Clash, 5'10", 170 pounds, out of Wyoming. And every time he receives that ball in the punting situation, a buzz of excitement runs through the crowd. Yeah, you know, John, there's an old saying that you don't win games like this, you lose them by mistake. And that holding penalty really cost the Winnipeg Blue Bombers because Tommy Clemens has got them out of the hole. And now it looks like the BC Lions are going to have excellent field position. Good kick by Bob Cameron. There's a penalty flag in the end zone. I believe roughing the kicker will be charged against the BC Lions as Benny Jones came in on Bob Cameron. That comes with 32 seconds remaining. And that will give Winnipeg a first down.
Well,
go ahead,
Ron. Whether it's roughing or contacting, we'll have to wait to see what the referees call. You're right, it's the first down. Well, they lost one on the first down. Clemens to Poplawski, they got it back.
Contacting the kicker, BC number 60. First down.
Well, let's see just what happened. See, there comes Jones. Punt is in the air.
And Benny Jones, who has replaced Nick Hepler at that defensive end position, was the man who made the contact with Bob Cameron. So the Blue Bombers retain possession. They are at their own 17-yard line. They fake the reverse, give the ball to Willard Reeves, and he picked up 3 yards before being stopped by Kevin Kunar. Just 6 seconds remain in this opening quarter. Winnipeg in front by a single point. These two teams battling for the right to face the Hamilton Tiger Cats in next week's Grey Cup game at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. And Ron Lancaster, Leo Cahill, and I will be there to describe all the action as we bring it to you on CBC television. A fake on 2nd and 6. Clemens throws to the sidelines, and it's incomplete. Coming back was James Murphy, but Clemens underthrew him, and Winnipeg is now forced into a kicking situation, and that was the final play of the opening quarter.
There's Nick Hepler on the sidelines, and you can tell by his attitude right there how he feels, and maybe Donnie Matthews is just going to hold him out of this game long enough to make him real angry, and he'll go in there and go after that Winnipeg team.
Val Bird was going after the 3rd down punt by Bob Cameron. It bounces to Darnell Clash. What moves he has got? He got across the midfield stripe. He got away first from James West and then Ty Jones. A 44-yard kick by Bob Cameron and an 11-yard run back by Darnell Clash. 8-7 the score. Winnipeg leading British Columbia in this Western Conference Championship battle.
Patterson with Tony Norman right behind the BC quarterback. He'll lose yards. DeWalt, who initially, in his first couple of years in the Canadian Football League, impressed with his running ability, showed some pretty good speed there to get away from the linebackers.
Those linebackers of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have a lot of speed, and DeWalt can run. I immediately looked downfield, and Roy Bennett really was on Sandusky. He had him covered perfectly, so he had nowhere to throw.
2nd and 15. The handoff to Freddie Sims. They try to get him outside, but he got back to the original line of scrimmage and no further. The initial penetration was made by James West, and there is concern at the Blue Bomber bench with center John Bonk, the Shenley Award winner a year ago as the country's outstanding offensive lineman. He apparently has injured a knee.
When the trainer takes that knee and holds it firmly in one hand and then moves it side to side with the other, they're checking to see whether there's any cartilage damage or possibly a torn knee ligament. And when that player shows an indication that there's some pain there, it's not a good sign.
Glenn Steele backs up to his own 2-yard line for this 3rd down punt. And there's a penalty flag on the play. It will be a clipping call against Ken Haley. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be backed up to their own goal line when we return. Winnipeg is 1st and 10 from the 3-yard line. John Bonk, the center, is on the bench. Mark Moore moves from guard to center. And David Black goes into the guard position. If Bonk is forced out of that lineup for any length of time, that could be a big problem for Winnipeg. The pass intended for Poplawski, incomplete.
You know, these are big series of downs. Anytime you're backed up like Winnipeg has been the last couple times, you're backed up there long enough, you'll turn it over. That's what the Lions want, and it takes a great offensive team to move it out of there.
Well, Nick Hebler is now into the ball game at that defensive end position. As Leo pointed out at the start of our telecast, the only member of that BC front four not to make the All-Star squad. Complete to Poplawski. Very close to a first down. Let's see where they spot it. It will be a first down at the 15.
Boy, oh boy, Rod, is that a big first down. As you said, you'll see Joe Poplawski being manhandled coming off the line of scrimmage, get up off his knees, turn to the outside, make a fine catch, and get that first down. And that is a big first down. Down there in the shadow of your goal line, you got to get out of there because punting out there would give the BC Lions excellent field position.
Poplawski, who previously has won a Shenley Award as the outstanding rookie and the best Canadian. He's up for the best Canadian award again this year. Deep down the sideline for Boyd. Incomplete. He was being covered by Darnell Clapp. Clemens attempted to go for broke with that throw to Jeff Boyd.
Well, Darnell Clapp played it well. Clapp gets it to the outside. He didn't allow Boyd outside, so Boyd went inside. But Tom, as you're going to see, he's going to take a good hit. He had to let it go. He threw it to the outside where he hoped Boyd would be. And Michael Gray, what a year he's had. He leads the Lions in sacks, and that's when you can be ahead of James Parker at the end of the year, you've had a good season.
Well, Gray is the Western nominee as the Rookie of the Year in the Shenley balloting. We'll have those Shenley Awards for you on CBC television on Thursday night. Willard Reeves fought his way out to the 20-yard line, but he is 6 yards short of a first down, so Winnipeg is forced into a punting situation.
Boy, I watched Nick Hebler on that play. He delivered a blow on the offensive blocker, tried to overcome the blocker by throwing him aside to get to the pass rush, then recognized the run, went to the inside, and made the play, just as well as you can play it. So maybe sitting him on the bench helped a little bit.
11:40 is the time remaining in this first half. Winnipeg clinging to a 1-point lead. Turnovers have led to both touchdowns. The fumble recovery by Tony Norman for a major score, and then the interception by Darnell Clapp that helped BC with a pass to Ron Robinson. Nelson Martin took that third down punt, and he was forced out of bounds at the 49-yard line. John Bonk having a tape job done to his knee by Ross Hodgkinson, the Bomber trainer. So that is an indication perhaps that Monk will be returning.
Yeah, they don't have the ice bag on it, so they're just going to strap it up, give him some more support on the outside of that knee with the tape. I think he will be back.
First and 10, the ball is at the 48-yard line. The wall is in trouble. He is dropped for a loss back at the 51. Tyrone Jones was the first man through, and then Hassan Abubakar finished the job.
Well, the ball's back in the pocket. He's looking to his left. He gets the pressure from there, has to pull it down, the receiver's covered, and they come up on the backside, they dump him. That's what we said in the opening. You better control that front seven of the Bombers if you're going to beat them.
He came to the Bombers via the Minnesota Vikings of the NFL, and today is replacing the injured John Sturdivant. By the way, at halftime, we will have Al Bruno, the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, joining Brian Williams to talk about his 50-26 victory today over the Montreal Concordes. Ned Armour with a big first down to the 35 of Winnipeg.
The one thing that really has to impress you right here is that this guy has been under more pressure than anybody else all year long. This is the biggest game of the year, and they want more than anything else to get into this Grey Cup. He started off with an inauspicious start, letting that ball go for a touchdown down at the other end. But now he's back on track. I'll tell you one thing, he threaded the needle that time around.
Throwing deep, looking for Bancroft, touchdown! As the BC Lions have the lead for the first time in the ball game. And Roy DeWalt with two big throws, the touchdown strike at 35 yards. Sam Krabs has the Lions in front. Well, so far this game has been everything we anticipated it would be. Willard Reeves on the kickoff return. And Reeves is stopped at the 24-yard line by Ryan Potter. Ned Armour set it up with a 22-yard gain on second down, and then Pancratz scored the touchdown.
Nothing complicated. We said before, you got to give the quarterback time. Pancratz had one-on-one with Wiley Turner. Turner just couldn't find the football. As Pancratz is following, it goes right into his arm.
Ned Armour, who played just one game this year for the Lions against the Toronto Argonauts, replacing Mervyn Fernandez in this Western Championship. That hit screen to James Murphy, getting to the outside, getting a couple of blocks for a first down.
Once again, Don, Joe Poplawski's managing to block the defensive player of the Lions to the inside, and that's allowing the receiver to get outside. That you can't do that.
Steve, what have you got to report?
Don, the story on John Bonk is simply this. It's an old injury, the one that he wears the knee brace on. He just took a knock on it. They have taped it up. He's back in the ballgame. He's fine.
Well, when we saw Bonk being taped up, we anticipated that he would return. This is Sean Kehoe out to the 46-yard line, stopped by Kevin Konar. That will be very close to another first down. For Sean Kehoe had an outstanding playoff performance last year, the Grey Cup game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Hamilton has made it back for 85. Will Winnipeg provide the opposition again?
I don't know who's going to be their opponent, but whoever it is, whenever these teams get to Montreal, better be ready, because that Hamilton Tiger Cat team is nothing like they were early in the year. They've done a great job. They're playing with confidence. Hobart has made it happen.
As the old story goes, Hamilton is waiting.
You betcha they're waiting.
Early in the year, of course, there was some conjecture about Al Bruno as to whether or not he would be the first coach to be fired in this 1985 season. Al Bruno has his team in the Grey Cup game with a very strong second half performance, 26, Wynne. There's the reverse with Jeff Boyd. Now Bird is after him. And now Bird, with his great speed, perhaps prevented a big run by Jeff Boyd. There's also a penalty flag on the play.
Well, I know tempers are going to flare in a game like this, but the thing that they've got to remember is that they can't afford to lose any decent personnel.
A clipping call against Winnipeg. Brad Glick, who through the first part of the season was responsible for the linebackers, thrust into a head coaching role with a heart attack that took Cal Murphy out of the lineup.
Clipping, Winnipeg number 21, first down repeated.
The clipping call against James Murphy. It's first and 25 back at the 31-yard line.
Where you don't want to be. Long yardage against the Lions. That defense is tough.
Situations like this, they'll pin their ears back and go after you. Penalty flag. I believe Richard Nelson has moved prior to the ball being snapped. It's deflected into the hands of James Murphy. But I think it's going to be called back regardless. It's going to be called back, I'm almost certain.
Don, it looked to me like Richard Neiman was offside, the left offensive tackle.
And there is also an injured player. That's Larry Crawford down. He collided with Joe Poplawski when that ball deflected into the hands of James Murphy.
While you watch the collision, Larry Crawford is just sitting back. He'll just sit back and wait like he should. Now he goes to the football. Watch the collision. Crawford goes to the football. When the ball's in the air, go get it. And that's what he did. The only thing, the ball popped up to Murphy, but Namath did move, and that's too bad because it brings it back.
The big story all week has been Mervyn Fernandez. Would he or wouldn't he? He's standing by with Steve Armitage.
Don, when Ned Armour took that pass from Roy to Walt, nobody was happier than Swervin Merv Fernandez. You're pulling for your replacement.
Of course. I know Ned can do the job, and he will do the job. He's like a racehorse. The more work he gets, the better he's going to get at it.
Merv, I know it's frustrating for you. Will we see you if the Lions get in the Grey Cup?
I'm really not sure at this point. We'll just have to take it day by day. Hopefully we can find something to speed up the healing process, or if not, maybe it'll be better before the Grey Cup. I don't know at this point.
Thank you, Merv. Good talking to you. Don?
Well, regardless of whether his teammates are there, Mervyn Fernandez will be, because he is the Western nominee for the Shenley Award as the country's outstanding player. He will be contesting that honor with Ken Hobart of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and of course you'll see the Shenley Award Thursday night on CBC television. The pass complete to Poplawski. He's dropped down by Darnell Class. Consecutive penalties had put Winnipeg in a first and 30 situation.
Very difficult on a first and 30 situation, as you say. Joe's just going to be a delay man. He helps block a little bit, tries to sneak underneath. Very difficult to get 30 yards on anybody on any given play, and they're smart. Take what you get. If you have to kick it away, every yard's important.
From the University of Alberta, Joe Poplawski, picked up by Winnipeg when Tommy Scott signed with the Edmonton Eskimos. Poplawski, the receiver, wide open, first down, brought down by Mel Bird.
All up.
Go ahead, Leo.
I was going to say, Ron, is all afternoon they've been throwing that hitch pass to the outside, and that time they set up the hitch pass, but Poplawski, instead of blocking like he normally has done, he faked the block and went right downfield. Tommy pumped to that outside guy and then laid it right up to him. Just a perfectly executed play.
Yeah, he went right at Keith Gooch like he was going to block it, and just turned downfield, and Gooch fought it and come up, and he was open behind him.
Absolutely. 6:22 is the time remaining in the half. Winnipeg first and 10 from the 52-yard line. James Murphy overthrown by Tom Clements. With that injury to Larry Crawford, Bruce Barnett, is in there for the British Columbia Lions. Normally, he is the backup to safety Nelson Martin. Martin moves to a halfback position, replacing Crawford, with Barnett going to safety. Roy DeWalt, who had his best season in the Canadian Football League. 4 passes attempted, completed, yardage, touchdowns, but not an all-star. Deep on the sideline, Poplawski has got it. Joe Poplawski, who has a history of coming up big in the important games, makes a tremendous catch for 32 yards in front of Melberg.
Well, it's a great move by Poplawski. It's a little play-action fake off the counter. I'll fake the read. Now, Joe goes down and breaks to the outside. Boyd comes inside, and then Poplawski goes right up the sidelines. Makes a great catch. If he can get on, if he can get hold of it, he'll bring it down. He doesn't drop very many.
You know, over the years, there's been some guys like Poplawski. I'm thinking of Tony Gabriel and some other people, not blessed with tremendous speed, but had the amazing ability of getting open. That's what that guy could do. But one thing beyond that, he can catch the football when he gets open. First and 10, Winnipeg. They are at the 16-yard line. Murphy, incomplete. He was being covered by Darnell Clash, and it almost appeared as though Murphy stumbled at about the 5-yard line.
I think he did. He started to go down and then run that quick post or slant, whatever you want to call it, and I think he missed the step and stumbled.
And Clash let him get to the inside, too, Ron, which is a mortal sin down there. And he had a step on him.
Second and 10, Winnipeg at the 16 of BC. 14-8, the Lions lead the Blue Bombers in this Western Final. The winner will face Hamilton in the Grey Cup game next Sunday. We'll have it all for you on CBC television. Clemens going into the end zone. Touchdown! James Murphy came across to make the catch. I think it was intended for Joe Poplawski. Poplawski was sent flying just in across the goal line, and when the intended receiver and the defender went down, James Murphy came scooting in behind the play to make the catch.
Well, you know what they say, there's an old saying, it's better to be lucky than good, and I agree. Watch, he's going to be looking at Poplawski's where he throws the football, just threw it, and then Murphy comes out of nowhere.
He kind of threw it and just got out of the way, and it's one of those plays that Tommy would have been embarrassed if it was intercepted down there because he just let it go at random, but James Murphy was there, and as you say, Ron, it's better to be lucky than good.
And the point after by Trevor Kennard puts the Winnipeg Blue Bombers back in front. 15-14, the Bombers lead. James Murphy with the touchdown. 4:37 is the time remaining in the half. We'll have the Winnipeg kickoff after this. Winnipeg leading by a single point. The ball bounces away from Darnell Clash. He has to chase it into the end zone. Clash will try and run it out. And he flips the ball out. And Sandusky is taken out of bounds by Willard Reeves. A dangerous type of play at that position on the field.
Well, what else would you expect out of Darnell Clash? The way he runs punt returns, same thing on the kickoff return. He let it get away from him, and then I was surprised he brought it out, but he made a good return. But when he flipped it up, I thought, uh-oh, watch it. Well, you see the touchdown. You see Poplawski really gets drilled, but Murphy shows up. You know, we said better to be lucky than good, but it's amazing. The harder you work, the luckier you get, and that's the way Poplawski is, and the whole team football club has to be like that.
First and 10, BC at the 18-yard line. They trail by a single point. The handoff to Freddie Sims. He got to the 20-yard line. It will be 2nd and 8. Well, wherever you're looking in, we hope you're enjoying this Western Final as much as we are in bringing it to you. And for some of the viewers in the Maritimes and in Eastern Canada, of course, it is good evening. And across the prairies, it's still good afternoon.
Good concentration.
One thing I was surprised about in the press conference yesterday, Coach Murphy was saying that Armour is the fastest guy on their football team. 4.48 yards. On that reception to Ned Armour. The Wolf. Running it to Armour again. Touchdown at the 15. And the way Armour has performed in this championship game, you wonder how effective the Lions may have been during the regular season if they had both Armour and Fernandez. We'll be back right after this. Ned Armour with 3 catches for 96 yards as the BC Lions in position to take the lead once again. As time runs down in this first half of the Western Championship game, 1st and 10 from the 15. They try and dump it off to Freddie Sims. And he was stumbling coming out of the backfield. It is incomplete. At halftime, we will have the coach of the Eastern champion Hamilton Tiger Cats joining Brian Williams to discuss that 50-26 win over the Montreal Concordes this afternoon. And we'll also have the East-West All-Star presentations, the statistical story of this game, and the first half analysis from Ron and Leo. 2nd and 10 from the 15-yard line. The Wolves going over the middle, looking for Ron Robinson, incomplete. Robinson scored the first BC touchdown on a pass from Roy DeWalt. And that means on 3rd and 10, Lou Pasaglia comes into the ball game. Roy DeWalt, when he let that ball go, he knew he was a little bit off target, and as he lay it on his back there, he just grabbed his helmet in anguish because he knew that he had Robinson open on that post pattern, and it was just a matter of getting it to him.
Pasaglia with the field goal try. It is good. A 22-yard field goal by Lou Pasaglia, and with 2:50 remaining in the half, the Lions move in front by 2.
Well, this can't get any better, can it, Ron?
Well, you know, I was just thinking, you know, I can remember a lot of great Western finals over the years, but these 2 teams, you know, have been said to be the best 2 teams in the league. Well, they're putting on the show that everybody expected.
Certainly the best 2 teams in the Western Conference. Whether they are the best 2 teams in the Canadian Football League will be decided next Sunday afternoon at Olympic Stadium in Montreal in the Grey Cup game. And the way the Hamilton Tiger Cats have played over the second half of the season, they are going to be a very, very tough foe for either of these 2. Willard Reeves will stop after a pickup of 1.
There's a name we haven't heard too much this afternoon, Willard Reeves, who's been just a tremendous running back for Winnipeg. Tommy seems to be inclined to throw the ball.
Willard Reeves this year, the winner of the Eddie James Memorial Trophy, is the top rusher in the Western Division. The second year that he has had his name engraved on that trophy. Clements going for James Burton, intercepted by Darnell Clark. His second interception of the game.
As he steps to throw, anytime you're going to throw the football and you got those guys coming, you just don't get enough on it. And you can see by the throw, very poorly thrown football, underthrown.
The Lions now from the 54, 1st and 10, 2:20 is the time left in this first half. DeWalt fakes that, hits screen, comes back to the other side, incomplete, looking for Sandusky. Darnell Glass with 2 interceptions, some sparkling punt return work, and very definitely a candidate for our Carling O'Keefe Defensive Game Star Award.
Well, I would say so. He's doing about everything you can ask him to do out there today. He's been a very steady performer all year, so you expect him the same today.
Well, one thing that we've seen, Don, since Fernandez is not in there, Pankratz got a touchdown pass, Robinson a touchdown pass, Ned Armour's made a great contribution. I think that was the first pass thrown to Sandusky, but he spread it around.
scored a touchdown on the recovery by Tony Norman. That time, Stan Mikowas was there after it was deflected by a number of people. Stan and Don Matthews are taking a look at the screen, the replay screen inside the stadium. Last year, turnovers killed the Lions against the Blue Bombers in the championship game. History may have a way of repeating itself.
Turnovers will get you in any football game, but again, it was a pressure by the front seven, and particularly the linebacker.
There's the pitch to James Murphy on the reverse. Larry Crawford slowed him up, and then Darnell Clash came in to finish the job.
Boy, Larry Crawford played that about as well as you can play it. He had a blocker on him in the open field. He shed the blocker, stayed to the outside, and made sure that he got that guy turned back to the inside where the traffic was coming from, and just did his job. Good to see him back in the ball game, too, because in the event that he did get hurt, he's the only guy that can go in there and play that cornerback position if one of those cornerbacks get hurt. So he's very valuable to that defense.
1:49 is the time remaining in the half. It's 2nd and 4. Clemens almost intercepted. Kevin Konar deflected that ball, intended, I believe, for Joe Poposky. And it almost went into the hands of Darnell Clash for the 3rd time.
This was another one of those I wasn't really sure who he was throwing it to, because you see Poplowski to the inside, and that goes through him, and Jeff Boyd's about 5 yards behind him, also turned to the inside.
Winnipeg will try and regain the lead with a Trevor Kennard field goal attempt from 34 yards out. Field goal try that Kennard has missed this afternoon. And Trevor Kennard from Edmonton. Certainly not pleased with his kicking prowess so far, but providing encouragement. Other members of that Winnipeg Football Club and the coaching staff.
You can see how badly he feels, and when he went to the sideline, it was a real good thing that Glick did to him, acting head coach Fred Glick. He would come over and give him a little pat and said, "You'll get the next one." And that means an awful lot to a kid who just missed the field goal.
1st and 10 from the 35. There's the draw play with Freddie Sims. He goes one tackle and is thrown out of bounds at the 39 by Ken Haley.
Freddie Sims knocked the touch of the 39, being 4, 2nd and 6.
Ken Haley is the injured Winnipeg player, but he gets up and heads back onto the field. Haley was limping following yesterday's practice session. As a matter of fact, he did not stay on the field the entire time. He was late getting back into that defensive set. There's the screen to John Henry White, and he is brought down by Gary Moten.
John Henry White is a directional runner, and that was a well-designed screen. He had the rush coming at him full blast that time, and he just dealt it off to John Henry. Actually, the offensive lineman out there slowed him down a little bit. He also had to outrun the offensive lineman in order to get that first down.
The clock is running with 1:05 remaining in the half. BC leading by a single point. First down play to Walton Time to the sideline. Armour makes the catch and puts on a pretty good move. But I believe they're going to rule that he stepped out of bounds against Ken Haley. His given name is Telmy. He prefers to be called Ned.
I kind of agree with him. Well, let's see if he steps out of bounds. You can see him. Referee's right there. It had to be that right foot that was right behind him. Bennett.
Second down, Fred Sims has the first down and more. And now just 39 seconds remain in the half. It's another first down for the BC Lions.
I don't understand them in huddling, though. With 39 seconds, I think they should try to get that offense going, get Pasaglia a chance. He's getting ready. But they could, Roy, that's a veteran ball club out there.
Lou Pasaglia is ready. if he should be called upon for a field goal attempt. The Walt will try and get six. Roy Bennett was defending against Armour. It will be 2nd and 10.
Ron, it seems like all afternoon that DeWalt is really concentrated on starting in one direction, trying to get that defense to roll the zone to one side and then create a one-on-one situation and try to beat them one-on-one, and it's been very effective.
Well, we talked about the BC Lion front four, and Nick Hepper was the only man not named to the All-Star team. Out of the Winnipeg secondary, the rookie Roy Bennett was the only member not named to the All-Star team. Cal Murphy was telling us that Bennett has not been beaten deep for a touchdown this season. That's a pretty good performance from a rookie.
Any cornerback, that's a good statistic.
Freddie Sims on the drop play, and he fought his way to the 36-yard line, so with 16 seconds remaining, a 43-yard field goal attempt will be upcoming from Lou Pasaglia.
A little relaxed. He stood up and picked his helmet up. Nothing serious.
I'll tell you, the gratifying thing from the BC Lion point of view is without Fernandez in there, Armour's come in and picked up the slack and done the job. And the same thing without Keevan Jenkins in that backfield, Don. Sims has gone in there and done a real good job. And boy, you can't ask for any more than that.
A 43-yard try by Lou Pasaglia. Pancrat puts it down. It's wide. Scott Flagel will get out of the end zone. And he's still going. Scott Flagel on the return. And he runs out of room and also runs out of time. Louis Pasaglia saved the touchdown.
Well, Don Matthews will really have something to say to that defensive coverage unit on that, Ron, because they relaxed. They thought the half was over.
They sure did, and when it came time for them to run, I just happened to look down there when the gun sounded, and they were all bent over. They were tired.
Brent Brissett is the injured Winnipeg player, but that's the end of the first half. The BC Lions lead by 1. Stay tuned for our halftime show.
Get a big boost just seeing him down there. Not that Fred Glick hasn't done a wonderful job, but Cal Murphy being on those sidelines means an awful lot to this football team.
Indeed it does, and Trevor Jenner kicks off to start the second half. The ball bounces to Mel Bird at the 10-yard line. Mel Bird finds an opening, and he has the blocking help. Gerald Patterson prevented a touchdown, but not before Bird got all the way to the 40-yard line. What a way to start the second half for the BC Lions.
You can almost see it coming. Look at the big hole. He's got 3 blockers in front of him, but here's what Mel Bird has, acceleration. Well, he got into the open.
You know what he did, Ron? He turned to the outside, got the defense starting at the outside, and then, as we say, go back against the grain, get them going one direction and run against the grain. And, boy, he did that so well.
Well, the man they were concerned about back there, Darnell Clash, was on the other side of the field. They kicked it to Mel Bird, and he burned them with a 59-yard return. DeWalt completes to Ron Robinson at the 35-yard line. Stopped there by Ken Haley. That will be a gain of 6. Second and 4. Roy DeWalt, just an outstanding year for the British Columbia Lions. 27 touchdown throws, just 12 interceptions. Handoff to Freddie Sims. Will he get the first down? It will be close. He was stopped by Darrell Patterson. You know, we talked about the health of Cal Murphy and the fact he suffered a heart attack. On the other side of the field, Don Matthews, throughout much of the season, was fighting a virus that saw him lose a lot of weight. Since then, he has regained much of that lost weight. But it took him the better part of a month to recover from a virus that twice during the season put him in hospital.
It's decision time right now for Matthews. He's third down and almost a yard. Let's see what he does. Looks like he says go get it.
He said go get it, and I'm all for him on this. You know, there'll be a lot of criticism if he doesn't make this. Well, but he says at this stage of the ball game, let's give those guys a chance to assert themselves.
Well, remember, they're with him when you're tied.
The third down gamble tackle by the BC Lions. They give it to Freddie Sims. Did he make it? Stan McCallus, the nose guard, may have straightened him up, but let's see whether or not his forward progress carried beyond the 30-yard line. They are calling for another measurement. The placement of the ball here is critical.
It sure is. I thought he had a little bit more, but boy, it's going to be a close one.
I think he got it by just a little bit.
Any portion of that football, and they have it by the length of the football. And a sigh of relief from the part of Don Matthews.
A little bit surprised they handed it off so deep, but it's a good thing he's a strong runner at 210 pounds because he needed every bit of it.
First and 10 for the Lions. They lead by a single point. Play just underway here in the second half. The walk to the sideline, and Ned Armour makes another big catch in front of Roy Bennett.
Boy, Don, as you pointed out, if he has played this well all season, had he been in there, he on one side, Fernandez on the other side, Pankratz and Robinson in the slots. Wow.
Nothing complicated, just straight back in the pocket and lets it go. And Armour just reaches up with the hands. I tell you, they tell me he drops footballs, but when you've got hands like that, you're not going to drop too many.
Winnipeg making a defensive change. Robinson and Vernon Paul, two backup linebackers, come in. David Shaw and Wiley Turner come out. The walk to the sidelines is also a penalty flag. Pankratz takes it out of bounds for a first down, and a call against Winnipeg for interference.
Forward pass interference. Winnipeg number 58.
James West is the guy just going to grab hold of him. Watch him. He comes off. West just grabbed him right there. He will not let him by, and he got really upset. And he goes right to the official, but the flag had been thrown before that.
From the 13-yard line, first and 10. The walk to Sandusky. He is taken out of bounds by David Shaw, and Herbert Fernandez applauds the effort of his teammates.
Well, I don't think anyone will ever say that having Fernandez out of a ball game is going to help a team, but look how he's spread out his receivers today and thrown to all of them, and as a result, he's getting big production out of each one, and I don't think that Winnipeg has any handle on where he's going to throw the ball.
The ball is at the Winnipeg 3.5. Jim Sandusky, who really came into his own this year after struggling last year as a receiver.
Well, the nice thing about this is he's only got about a yard to get a first down.
DeWalt keeps, and he does have the first down.
Well, I'd like to see a play-action pass right there, Ron.
Well, I don't know. You know me, Leo. I'll gamble with a bet on, but you're sitting there and you're looking at a 17-16 lead. Let's see if we can pound this thing into the end zone. 2 yards away from the goal line. First and goal, you got 3 shots at it.
Winnipeg is making an adjustment defensively. They now send out Robinson, Paul, and Richard Nemeth. And coming out, James West, Wiley Turner, and David Shaw. First and goal for the Lions. They give it to Freddie Sims.
blocking. John Henry White took on Darrell Patterson, the linebacker, and he gets the standoff, and that's all you want. Let that power back do the rest.
Boy, he's a great position blocker. All he does is use his body, as you say, Ron, to shield that inside hole there. Give that Sims just enough room to squeeze by.
Cal Murphy, the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who was moved from the press box down to the sideline for this second half. Hand off to Willard Reed. No room. Stopped by Glenn Jackson.
You know, Don, you have to run the football a little bit, but over the 16-game regular season, 3.8 average per rush against the Lions. You are not going to beat them running the football, but yet you have to try it every now and then.
The first time these teams met in preseason, Winnipeg won the game here under the dome. In regular season play on October the 6th, Winnipeg won 33-26. 5 days later, under the dome, Winnipeg won it 31-10. Second and 9, the Blue Bombers, they trail by 8. Clements is sacked. Mike Gray, the outstanding rookie defensive tackle of the BC Lions, sacking quarterback Tom Clements.
Boy, that front four that we talked about before the game, they're feeling it right now. Watch Parker on the outside, forcing Clements back up into the pocket. And he goes right up in there, runs into Gray, Hebler, and all the rest of that front four. And boy, they're turning it on now. They feel it. It's been a long time coming.
The BC Lions will get the ball back in good field position. Bob Cameron's third down kick. Class takes it at the 45, trying to get to the outside.
Bruce Barnett threw a great block. Backed up defensive back, come downfield on that wall for Clash, and I think he flattened his old teammate.
Cal Murphy upset with what he felt was a clip on the return. See if there was a clip. I think he might be right.
Well, Tyrone Jones was missed completely a little bit farther up with Bruce Barnett and leveled Glenn Steele. That may have been the one. It was a great hit.
Ball is at the 54 of Winnipeg. First and 10, the Lions. They lead 24-16. Complete to Ron Robinson. Robinson is stopped by Roy Bennett at the 49. Darnell Clash, an 11-yard run back on that last punt. He has returned 4 for 42 yards so far this afternoon. In addition, he's made 2 interceptions. Not a bad day's work in this Western Championship.
I was going to say, it's a great start.
Second and 6. The ball is at the Winnipeg 51. Throwing deep for deflected jump at the final moment by Roy Bennett. It looked as though the rookie may have been beat, but the Jackson State product recovered to tip it away.
It'll never be any closer than that. Just at the last moment, it was almost instinct because he didn't see the ball until he turned, and that hand just came right up and deflected it.
Well, that's Bennett's style. He covers with his back to the quarterback.
Well, a lot of good corners feel that if they'll get on your hip as you're running downfield, when you look for the ball, they'll look for the ball. And that's what he does. He does it well.
We saw 2 touchdown passes today by cornerbacks who turned their back on the ball, though. Hard to locate it.
Bad snap, but a booming punt by Lou Pasaglia. Winnipeg concedes the single point. So with 8:18 remaining in the third quarter, the BC Lions now lead it by 9. Don Whitman along with Ron Lancaster, Leo Cahill, and Steve Armitage. First and 10, Winnipeg from the 35. The pass complete to James Murphy, and he is caught immediately by Darnell Clash. It will be second and 5, Winnipeg.
Well, as the old saying goes, Darnell Clash has done everything but blow up the ball before the game. Well, that was a great open field tackle. You got to stalk him out there because a mistake could cause a touchdown. He came right up there, stayed on his feet, and gathered him in.
Kent
Marner comes into the ball game, replacing Kehoe on 2nd and 5. Winnipeg at the 40. 7:40 is the time left in the third quarter. 25-16, BC lead. Jeff Boyd makes the catch for a first down. The ball popped away as he hit the turf, but they ruled that the play had been whistled down. That's a first down at the 49-yard line.
You're going to see Jeff Boyd just Clements sprints to his right, throws back, and watch Jeff Boyd just reach out with his hands, makes the catch, then the ball comes loose. The BC Lions were arguing for either a fumble or incompletion, but they didn't get it.
Winnipeg, 1st and 10. Clements to the sidelines, it's intercepted, which will go for 6. Keith Booth to the end zone, but there's a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage. They've been holding Parker all afternoon, and they finally got him that time.
Parker took the inside charge, and Tom Clements wanted to throw a quick out, and he couldn't do it.
Keith Gooch with the interception return, the 3rd time that Tom Clements has been intercepted this afternoon.
Watch James Parker come in here, wants to throw that quick out, and as he's in the air, Parker hits him the ball short, and here's the end result. When you throw it down in the flat, it's a touchdown.
Keith Gooch had a clear pass to the end zone, and now the point after by Luke Desaglia. And the BC Lions taking control in this Western Championship with 6:43 left in the third quarter. We'll be back with the BC kickoff after this. The BC Lions, Luke Desaglia kicking off. The ball is fumbled down at the 5-yard line. Finally picked up by Kevin Millis. He and Glenn Steele collided as they went after that kickoff, and the crowd reaction here under the dome has reached new highs on the noise meter.
Well, this is what happens. All right, all he wants to do is throw a real quick out. That means a quick sprint, but watch the strength of James Parker as he hits him when he's in the air. Tommy throws so well to his left. As he's in the air, he gets hit. The ball's short, and boy, when he's short out there, it is over.
There's no better field than that. He knew at the 10-yard line he was going all the way in.
They give it to Willard Reeves, but this BC Lion team has been tough to run against all season. And they are proving it again this afternoon. Willard Reeves has just not been able to break away. He got to the 10-yard line. It will be 2nd and 8.
You're just not going to run on them. I don't really believe you can run with any consistency on the Lion defense, nor Winnipeg's either. They rank 1 and 2 in all the categories, so I guess that's why.
2nd and 8, Winnipeg from the 10-yard line. Clements got away from James Parker, throws to James Murphy, incomplete. And Winnipeg will be forced to kick it away again, and the BC Lions should get it back in very good field position once more.
Now, one thing I've noticed the BC Lions doing, Ron, on almost every occasion is going in there and trying to block the kick. I would think right now, on this situation, that they'd be well advised to put the return on and not take any chance on making contact with that kicker. They're going to get good field position.
Yeah, they're going to have the field position. As you say, 3 times they've come close to blocking a camera and punt. Let's see what they do.
Bob Cameron kicks from 5 yards deep in his end zone. Another good kick. Darnell Class goes back to his own 50. He finds an opening. There's a penalty flag on the play. I believe John Ulmer, the rookie, is going to be called for a clip.
Penalty flag back at midfield.
All right, you're going to see. It's going to be right here. Here it is. Watch. He just pushes him a little bit in the back, and that's what they called.
Oh, boy.
Illegal block. BC number 12. First down.
Well, it was Barnett. Ivor was involved in the play as well over on the other side. I thought it was Elmer, but obviously they detected Barnett. That takes the ball back to the 43. Sandusky attempts the pass. All the way to the 27. Jim Sandusky turned David Shaw inside out after he made the catch.
Well, we talked about this before, Ron. When you throw that ball to the outside like that, that guy that comes up from the outside got to make sure that he stays on his feet and don't try to kill a guy with a tackle. Just grab a hold of him. He slipped, fell, and as a result, Sandusky almost scored.
First and 10 from the 27.